Hello and welcome to Benno and Hamflett in Your House, a podcast reviewing WWE's iconic New Generation and Attitude Era B shows in order from the bust back to the B. I'm Michael Hamflett.
And I'm Benno. And Michael, we are here to talk WWF Unforgiven from 1998. And I don't know if me and you could be forgiven here, mate. We've been giving Mark and Glenn a bit of a hard time over the last while in the build to this particular pay-per-view. So we thought, we can't do this pay-per-view review alone. We need the experts. We need to get somebody in here to I don't know. We've been doing the heat. We need somebody to do the comeback, or at least a couple of hope spots in there for the lads. So yeah, joining us on this one, it's the one and only Stephanie Chase. Hello, Steph.
Hi, everyone. Hi, guys. Yeah, I've been listening to you slagging off The Undertaker, so I am here to fly the flag.
Oh, my God.
For The Undertaker in 1998.
A physical flag, as Batty would say there.
Official Undertaker to hell and back flag.
From what year? Where's that from? Like, is that like a goodie bag, a recent one? Is that a 90s one? Because as I know, there's a few 90s artifacts behind you there.
This is copyright World Wrestling Federation. So that's
proper stuff.
That's how
proper logo, Michael. Impressed by that.
Yeah, I like that.
This is from my childhood trip to Florida in about 1999 when people actually liked wrestling. And you could buy this stuff at the mall, you know?
No, I love that there's the Undertaker behind you as well. Not dated at all by the Sarah tattoo on his neck or anything like that, you know?
Yes.
That weird, scary Undertaker face that's there as well. You come prepared.
I love that.
This is amazing. If this wasn't about 25 years old, it would work with the batteries and his eyes would be following us as we discuss.
Honestly, Steph, I'm so, I'd never seen one of them in the flesh, right? And I really do mean in the flesh, because I feel like I can see his head sort of lurching towards me as we record this. But that's closed the loop for me going back 25 years. You know, in Beyond the Mat, when you see Vince McMahon and the team around the table going through bits of merchandise, and he's got in his hand this sort of hollowed out Stone Cold Steve Austin head on a little bit of plastic. It's for one of them. I've never actually seen the bit of merchandise for what it's for, and it's for WWF's famous "Eyes Follow You Around the Room" range. And now I know, and I'll sleep easy knowing that now.
Yeah,
put that into eBay tomorrow.
I do remember there being an Austin one, but just imagine me when I was 11, 12, this little girl in Belfast. Imagine if for some reason you'd come into my room and there I was with my Undertaker that followed, with his eyes following you, my Undertaker flag, all my Undertaker dolls. I had this fantastic poster of him on my wall, giving the big boot. It's a little girl's bedroom.
Amazing. I was going to say, Michael, I feel like me and you are the odd ones out on this. Everyone I've known in my life who likes wrestling has had an Undertaker period, you know, Steph, obviously, that's, again, part of why this is the perfect one to have you on. But, Matty's the same way. All my mates I grew up with, I just kept gravitating towards Undertaker fans. I don't know, mate, I think we're just if anything, though, we have been boosters, you know, in 1997, but in 1998 we have returned to form. I don't know if we're just the graduate ones, mate, or
it's
we're just
the power of the dark side, Benno. It's the power of the dark side. It's the power of the dark side. This man, we'll get into it. This man changed my life. He made me who I am today. He brought me to the dark side. Is
this Kane? Is Kane on? Oh, sorry, Steph. Okay.
I became a goth for The Undertaker. Well, I'll get into it, but it didn't work out because he eventually exposed himself to be actually a Kid Rock fan and a Limp Bizkit fan. But yeah, he absolutely changed my life, and I'm here to honor him in what is one of his greatest moments, perhaps his greatest moment.
I feel bad for you.
Separate to the show we're reviewing today, or I don't know. Sorry, Michael.
Benno says we never had an Undertaker period, and basically you've joined us right as ours is finished. My Undertaker period has been in the last 6 months. I went my entire adult life thinking shit, and then we do a podcast, and then begrudgingly for about a year of his career go, is he the best thing going? I've never been more of a dead man guy than now. And then right as literally the last edition of Housekeeping, we had to subhead in the Undertaker and Kane spell as the brothers have gone shit now. And then right when we hit that point, it's right, Steph can come on. If you'd have come on 3 podcasts earlier, it'd have just been an Undertaker loving, and now you're going to have to play defense for the brothers.
I heard all this, and all I can say is, like, you guys, you don't understand. Like, you need it explained because you don't understand what you're watching, and you will by the end of this podcast.
Well, there's some lofty, words from literature coming up in this one today that you can explain to us as well. I mean, do you want to give us the origin story of like the Undertaker fandom and how, like, obviously I know 1980s, like, for us, for me and Michael, I don't know if like if I could pinpoint like the most important year in my fandom is like maybe 97, but I think 98 is probably the one for you. And is that also the Undertaker's fault? Can we say?
Yes. So the origin of my wrestling fandom is that I started watching with WCW, right around the time that the NWO was formed. So I got into that, and big Macho Man fan, always. And I would watch Nitro on TNT after Cartoon Network, like we all did. And at some point in school, I started to realize that there was other wrestling. And then I saw in the bargain books store in Castle Court, Belfast, a WWF annual. And it like clicked to me, like there's other wrestling.
There's
and
proper wrestling.
Yeah.
No, that was after Cartoon Network. Make those letters jumped around. TNT started. I'll see
And I saw a picture of The Undertaker in this annual, and he made an impression on me, but I wasn't into it. And then I think it was maybe 97, I actually put on an edition of Raw. And this was when The Undertaker was involved in something with, I think it was Goldust, where there was like a fireball happening. You guys probably reviewed this, but there was something to do with like fire or whatever. I was freaked out. Like, I was very, very scared. So I went back to watching WCW, and I was really happy then. And then I decided to give WWF another try in 1998. Perhaps for reasons we will get to, because I'd grown up by this time. And yeah, I start watching between King of the Ring and between SummerSlam. That is when he became my guy. Like, he became everything I'd ever wanted. So the first WWF pay-per-view I ever watched was SummerSlam 98. And then immediately after that, I started buying all the VHSs. And he was my guy right up until he turned into a biker. And then during this period of my early fandom with The Undertaker, it clicked in my head that given his appearance, he was a goth. So that's when I started getting into goth music and stuff like that, all influenced by The Undertaker. Like, I was asking my mom what goth bands were, and I was going to like HMV and just buying like Susie and the Banshees CDs and The Cure, and that was like a huge part of my life. And I really believed that he would have been into the same shit, and then he became a biker. And came out to Limp Bizkit, whose fans I was engaged in a turf war with at Belfast City Hall. So that really broke my heart. So from this point until the heartbreak of the American Badass era, I was an Undertaker girl.
Nice.
Did you do like...
Is that the strangest origin story you've ever heard?
Like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I've heard it before, but maybe not in those terms. Like, I wasn't sure the Undertaker came first. To me, it like might have been like the bands and the music and stuff like that as well.
He came first.
Okay. Well, I was thinking like you kind of identifying this Undertaker with like obviously all of like goth culture.
Yes.
Did you then, because like as a wrestling fan thing, I think we all have a version of this as well, don't you? When you get into something, you then work backwards and try and like catch up. So like, you know, getting into it in the very early 90s meant going back to like kind of WrestleMania 1 onwards and trying to just fill in all the gaps. Did you have that with The Undertaker? Were you going and watching like early 90s kind of new generation cartoonish Undertaker? Because it's really different, isn't it, to the one that you've sort of discovered?
Yeah, you're watching it going, why is he ginger? What's going on?
Like, why is he getting paid? Let's go back in time. First thing I found out was that he was a ginger man with a perm at one stage. So I watched the early 90s stuff, but I wasn't really into it. I think I get into it from probably like 96 when he starts the Mankind feud, he kind of becomes closer to like my Undertaker. And that's what I get into more. But like, I was also like obsessed with like finding out everything I could about him. So once I got the internet, I was there looking up, finding out that this guy's name was Mark Calloway. I was like, what? He's called Mark? That's my brother's name. Undertaker can't be called Mark, And this was around the time when he was married to his first wife, his first of many wives, was called Jody Lynn. And she can be seen at one of the Slammy Awards. I think it's the 96 Slammy Awards. So I was like pausing that to try and like see this woman who got to marry the Undertaker, and then later I found out that he actually was open to marrying fans that he met at conventions, because that's how he met Sarah and married her. Sarah was a nanny for some kids and brought them to meet the Undertaker, and he was like,
didn't know that.
Yes, and he was like, I'll take your phone number. So I was like, right, just need to get myself to a fan convention. But yeah. So I did I look back on his career and everything, but it is really from that Mankind, like Boiler Room Brawl era, and then all the 97 stuff when he's not really center stage, but he is world champion at one point.
He's brilliant.
And then
he is brilliant.
Stuff, yeah.
Like he's so good in 97.
He is.
Like
he's really good.
Obviously it's Austin's year, but it was so much fun to recap the Undertaker, and that he's a good actor as far as a daft wrestling storyline goes. Like you buy him and his works, maybe the best it's ever been. Like I found him so much fun because I think like Benno, you'll feel the same. Like we were recapping like Austin and the Hart Foundation and stuff, but because you committed so much of that to memory, it was really fun to recap and pick the odd week that you didn't remember. But a lot of it is just like, oh yeah, then there's this Raw, remember how class that was. But the Undertaker, like at points it took a little bit of extra digging, and it was worth it. The more you dug, the more gold you found. I loved covering 1990s. We said it, like if you look at the In Your Houses in particular, the pay-per-views we covered, he's Mr. Consistent throughout the whole thing. Like he goes like and start a year to the end, and he doesn't really have a stinker amongst them. And I know he's in there with Sean and Brett, and he's got like the best opportunities to have good matches, but there's no carrying. This is not a Diesel thing. He's, you know what I mean? He's holding up his end of things completely.
As far as the acting goes, he's the Robert Pattinson of wrestling, because when you first see Robert Pattinson, if you watched Twilight, you think like this guy's shit, this guy can't act. And then you realize it was just the script. He's in the Odyssey right now, and he can definitely act. He's made many, many good films. It's just that Twilight was a terrible script and no one could have done it justice. And The Undertaker was quite the same until he got the right storylines. Then he could show what an Academy Award level actor he is.
I'm trying to work out what Rob Pattinson's like a version of Mick Foley is, but I will concede to Michael that we do need to give taking a bit of the credit there as well. But I think it comes full circle as well. You said there, Steph, like with you, like I say, you're big Undertaker fandom and on all of that into the show we're going to today, and we're covering it. Like I was going to say, I usually start these reviews with we're going to talk about the free for all. We're going to go through the entire show as well. But usually, Michael, I'm throwing up like the VHS cover on the screen at this point, and I know in this case I don't have to. There's a real life version of it that maybe Steph can bring to the table. I don't know. Was this bought in Castle Court as well? I don't know. Cracking Greg's, by the way, Michael, in Castle Court, I will say. But I wonder if that's where this comes from too. But you can do the honours in this one.
Well, now just wait, guys, because this is the all-time sexiest VHS cover that you will.
And that's why you bought it. I get it.
Unforgiven. The VHS. And now I would say that
Steph, can I just say, sorry, I appreciate you doing like all this gooning at such an early stage on a card that's got an evening gown match on. It just bodes well for like Benno and I. Should the mask slip for a second when we get to reviewing that match? You've covered it off early for us. It's quite helpful.
Michael, I am here to give you your Gooner comment of the week. Okay. Okay. You will get it. You will get it tonight.
Okay.
I would say this was bought in Woolworths in Belfast, which, R.I.P. Woolworths everywhere. But just look at this, guys. We've got the pale face, the eyebrows, the hair, the beard, and then the hand with the cross on his hand.
Did you cross on my hand? Oh, he's on the cover. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Did you put the cross on your hand when you were younger, Steph? Did it, were you touching him through the video cover?
But I did draw a teardrop on my face, so we'll get to that. But then, if you do want some gooning, you got for the lads, we have Sable.
Yeah,
there you go. Should be sunny.
The evening gown match, and then we've got these two lads, whoever. But I mean, I love that we have like Sable's like full tits here, but it is exempt from classification, despite the scenes on the cover. But yeah, first ever Inferno match. So this video is like 25, 26 years old, so it's not in the best condition. But I put it in a VCR that I found, and it was at the end, and I had to rewind it back. And as I'm rewinding it back, I am hearing the bad sounds. And I take it out, and the tape was coming out, and I rolled that back. I rolled it back in, and I got it rewound, and I watched this the proper way. I watched this on VHS. No physical Netflix or whatever for me. It was VHS. Wonderful. You got all the great Silver Vision stuff and the warnings, at the beginning. Fantastic.
I think the only one I've been able to pull out this entire time was Good Friends, Better Enemies, because I knew that I had that back home. I think it's at my mum's now, but I had no possibility of playing it. That was the unfortunate part. I couldn't throw it on anywhere, but I bet you're the proper physical cop.
When you're in Belfast, Benno, I'm sure I will have a VHS that you'll be needing to watch for.
You're saying that? Have you got the rest of '98? Maybe, the rest of this year could be the proper ones. I don't know.
Yeah, I probably do.
There you go. Beat that, Michael.
I just I wanted to ask
better than Billy on
the cover there as well. Can I ask, because I couldn't quite see it there, just for my own sort of completist sake, does it still have in your house written underneath Unforgiven on the box?
Oh yeah,
good point.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. That's nice.
That might even be behind the scenes navel gazing, the literal in your house logo that I copied to put on the Benno Hamflett logo. I think that's the exact text. I've just changed the colours. Yeah,
and if you were a nerd that ordered them by number, this is WF 201.
Love all that.
Do you remember that? Yeah. I was that kind of nerd.
I always really resented the exempt thing on my wrestling videos, because I just thought, God, you think this fake shit is so stupid, you can't even.
It's not important enough.
There's women ripping each other's clothes off, and a guy's going to get set on fire, and all you give me.
And Owen Hart says shit as well. They're swearing on it, and they But then they would go to the extreme, because everything's like exempt, and then King of the Ring 98 is an 18, and I'm like, that's a leap. That is a leap, guys.
It's almost like somebody's. Yeah, like somebody's mum caught on. Like, I felt like they were getting away with it. It's a bit like the Channel 4 years, they were getting away with it, and then somebody wrote a letter into Point of View and was like, this can't happen. But like the parents were just like, oh, yeah, the wrestling tapes are, that he's a zombie, it's the Undertaker, that's fine. Richard can still watch that, not realising once you open the tape and put it on what's actually contained. There's probably some truth to that. It was like we were so, like you say, Michael, we were so in the bust that it took getting to the booth people to go, hang on, what's on that? What are they doing? Like, what flames and fucking tits and fucking
I gotta say as well, I love the inside. If you remember that, they advertised all the other videos that were available in Europe. Fans. Did you ever?
You've answered one of my questions there, Steph, because it's on the inside cover. Is there anywhere on the outside cover where there's still an old Fed logo, or are we completely attitude now, or are we completely scratched?
Good point.
It's all scratch logos, because like they're at the top.
Even the home video.
There. Yeah. It's the blue. It's that one. I was going to ask, Benno, did you ever write to Silver Vision in Middlesex?
No, I wrote to Power Slam. I wrote to the officers of TNT to try and get some free merch in 1997, and they just sent me a nice letter. But it had a Nitro letterhead on it, so I was happy with that. I'm sure you'd have been made up with that too. But no, I don't think I ever did. I feel like I tried to get like WCW stuff more than WWF stuff that way, but like it was maybe taken as granted you could get at least some stuff in Woolies, at least by the time
it says here, like, for further information on all World Wrestling Federation videos, call the Silver Vision hotline and then the number, or write to blah blah blah, Enfield, Middlesex. So I'm just like, what would you have called up and asked? You know.
I was going to say, I'd tell them the future. Yeah, one day you're going to be the WWE NXT UK burial ground. Watch out, lads. That's Enfield too. I don't think it's the same building, but it'd be funny if it was.
Yeah,
I would just tell them to turn their business into a trampoline complex now, just to make money.
Yeah, sorry about the bad reviews, but you'll be fine. Lads. You'll be all right.
There was a lad. Do you remember? It was on the UKFF. There was a lad who posted who worked at Silvervision, and it felt like every now and then he'd do like a thread if anybody had any questions. And I think to be honest, it might have been around the time Silvervision was folding, and he knew he was going to have to get a different job, or they weren't making wrestling stuff anymore, whatever it was. And he would just answer people's questions. Basically, he would just give the inside track on what it was like to actually work there, because it was a bit of a dream job, that one. I think in the list of like dream jobs when you were that age, the idea in your head, it looked like where Todd Pettingill would present Mania from, just a room full of reels and videos where you could just
Doc Hendricks just lives there under the stairs. He's just there 24 hours.
You know, if it still existed, it could be like, do you ever see when they have actors and directors now go into the Criterion closet like Christopher Nolan? It could be us going into the Silvervision office to see everything.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Ah, well.
Magic.
One day, that physical Hall of Fame maybe will come about. So they could have a little wing for it, maybe. I think it's fair. None of this Coliseum video stuff. Silvervision, that's the real one. But I knew you'd have the prof, Steph, and like we say, great to obviously have you here finally on this one. We have been biding our time, wanting the perfect show for you, and this is definitely the perfect show to have you on. And I do know, obviously, unfortunately, the free-for-all not included in that tape, but I know you've gone away and watched it as well, which will kick us off today. Obviously, coming from the Greensboro Coliseum, 21,427 as an attendance as well. It's busy in there, and of course, it's a weird one, this free-for-all. There's like 4 different hosts, and they all just kind of rotate in, don't they, all of the lads? Speaking of, obviously, Doc Hendricks's and the like here as well, but obviously we are in the background of all of the Kane and Undertaker stuff we're going to get into today. Obviously, the Austin conspiracy theory story is front of mind as well, but Doc Hendricks kicks off the free-for-all here, Michael, and he's just happy to be there. He's ready to get jiggy. He's made up that it's sold out. He blames the traffic outside on the fact that there's so many people in there. I don't think that makes sense, but I mean, I guess it's a nice little celebration there. But yeah, they seem quite cheddar with themselves. I feel like we got this from Jim Cornette. I think it was No Way Out, wasn't it? I think he didn't really believe it, because it was like, but it's a small fucking building. It's like, okay, you're in the Greensboro Coliseum, are you, lads? And you're doing almost 22,000. Everyone's got a bit of an extra smile on the face, and maybe they are to blame for the bad traffic outside.
I was glad to be asked, because I was ready to get jiggy with the World Wrestling Federation, Doc. Thanks very much. It was so obviously, a lot of things that we cover on this show are of their time, but there'd be quite a few allusions, wouldn't there, over the course of this pay-per-view, into the fact that, you remember in 1999 when the Fed ran the Georgia Dome? And it was, it was a big deal, wasn't it? They've just basically marched into enemy territory and taken the town pretty much. This was a sort of a minor version of that they hadn't really played up on television. Like the work in Greensboro, Jim Ross made a point about how he'd had like some big nights in Greensboro, but never as many people as are here tonight. Everything's an optics win against WCW, obviously. But Michael Hayes must be like, that's the same for him. Like this is Freebird country, and here he is, like talking up
handsome
this
Doc.
handsome Doc, and he's like, I guess I'm this now, and that's what draws 21,000 people, like versus what we were doing with the Von Erichs back in the day. It's funny, like that. Like it certainly wasn't something that twigged with me when I was younger, or even maybe in like other rewatches. But it just a big one for me. I don't think it was on the free for all, but like you might have copped it in your notes for there's a point during the show when Jim Ross just outright name checks Ric Flair, and
Steph's got
Claxon went off. Claxon went off for me, and then I obviously you do the maths at what time it was in the timeline with Flair and WCW. Then it's like they're kind of, considering they haven't even done DX on the tank yet, they're sort of flexing here a little bit, aren't they? It's like we've just kind of come and taken Greensboro and you can't have it back. Like it's a Fed building now. We've just to be on the safe side. And Doc even says it in his intro, doesn't he? We're going to give you men on fire, naked or pretty much naked women, But enough of all that, because it's going to be Steve Austin's first pay-per-view title defense. It's like the rule of three, and they're saving the biggest and best till last. It's a proper like full court press, isn't it, to take the town?
He knows that pop's coming, and plus they've got a load of old men around the place because, again, it's Greensboro, so they feel like that's what's going to work. But you said that to me as well, didn't you, Steph? That like that's this time period, isn't it? Like, is this the story of Ric Flair circling the building in his car and all that stuff?
We might as well get into it now because there's no like real point to say it, but I was looking this up because later in the show the fans do chant for Flair, and as you said, Jim Ross name checks Ric Flair. I'm pretty sure it's when Sable comes out, he says like that's as big a pop as Ric Flair would get or something like that. So around this time I started looking into this, and according to Jim Cornette, Ric Flair is actually here in the building outside in a limo with his lawyer trying to see if he can legally sign on to WWF because he's on the outs with Bischoff. So it was definitely the rumor doing the rounds at the show that Ric Flair was going to appear, maybe with his son Reed, who was starting to do really well in amateur wrestling at the time. And it makes sense with it being in North Carolina, but I just thought that was a wild fact. And also, I mean, thank God he didn't. And that's not even because it's Ric Flair. It's because that would have been terrible if he turned up just as the Attitude Era is starting, like this old guy turns up.
Imagine that, Michael. Imagine you could see him knocking around. It could be him. It could be the New Midnights. It could be the Rock and Roll Express. It could be Big Bazza, just all of them knocking around. Little NWA. He could carve NWA into all of his gear, like all the lads do. He'd fit in perfectly. No problem with that.
I gotta say, like devil's advocate maybe, but like as another old fart in a suit next to Vince McMahon, an old fart in a suit, you're probably getting an all right run against Austin with Ric Flair. Like if
you know what, actually,
McMahon,
in fairness,
if he has to turn, like if he's been saying to Austin, I want you to be my corporate champion, I want you to be what a real world champion should look like. And then who else does he turn to but the last guy he marketed as the real world champion? The guy that wears the suit. He's like, Austin, this is what a champion should look like. Like I could see it, like it, and then after that, you are knackered. Like how on earth, like what, like sort of if people have runs and then they come in hot and then they kind of have to filter down the card a little bit. The idea of like Ric Flair getting an Attitude Era gimmick, just like he'd have his remember the end of 2000 when he like Magnificent Seven, he cut his hair and tried to like gel it into spikes. He'd get there early, wouldn't he? He'd finally relent and he'd get some Spartacus tattoos or something like that. It'd be Rick, but it'd be spelt like Rick Mail. It'd be R-I-K, just to like make it a bit more Attitude Era or something.
Sonny would be coming out with him. Go full LNT 2000 with it. There might be money in that. It's wild. It's one of those stories that I feel like I've heard it, but like not pinpointed when it might have been. And that makes sense. After
it makes total sense. It makes total sense for this night. And you can imagine being in the audience and this kind of like rumor, going through. And it feels like they almost, like there's bits where you really could have seen it happen, like, later on when you get the old guys with Cornette and it's like an impromptu match, and then obviously like Jeff Jarrett and just the allusions he makes to Flair. It's like it really would have been something if it happened.
Massively, just Ric Flair knocking around with those young lads, the Rock and Roll Express, would have been fun. They could have been the next generation. Who knows? But yeah, it's a weird time to be in, and I think as well, like it is the Jeff moment, isn't it? When they're literally chanting, "We want Flair," and like Lawler has to cover it with, they're chanting, "We want more." I think JR.
He's like,
absolutely we do, but obviously we'll get there when we do. But that's the obviously going on in the background in North Carolina. Like I say, Doc kicks us off, but yeah, most of this pre-show is built around Michael Cole waiting for Vince to turn up, and also an impatient Stone Cold Steve Austin waiting for Vince to turn up, and he's just going in and out of his office through the night. We're going to cover those as a job lot at this point, Michael, as we have been promised a catastrophic event. We're all wondering what that's about, as is Michael Cole here. And like I say, Austin wants a word with Vince because he wants to know if he's going to be screwed tonight and what exactly this catastrophic event is and how it fits in to the overall conspiracy going on here.
Yeah, we're kind of Well, we certainly did with No Way Out, at least. We're relearning the hard way just how essential Steve Austin's popularity might be to these 1998 In Your Houses. And WWE have obviously extended that to the pre-show at this point. Like, it's that. Then they're not... I quite like it, actually, because, like, they're not leaving anything to chance. They're not, like... They want to tease that you want to see these two men together. They know the ratings are now proving that people want it on a Monday night. So why would they not, like, get those last-minute buys? This is such a far cry. I remember it was like, I think it was like In Your House 4, maybe In Your House 5. But do you remember they reached the point where they would like pre-tape the kickoffs, where it was like Todd Pettingill would get his mates round to the house, and they would have all these like, and like, obviously you can't call it low effort because they were going to the trouble of making them, but they weren't thinking about what actually might drive interest. They were just like, right, knock out a half an hour highlights package or whatever. Like, this is... It's so you're aware of how live and how now and how current it is. And if you just like, this is, I mean, I know it's kids predominantly that are going to be begging their parents, but you can't envisage watching a free for all like this and then not buying the pay per view, can you? They just got they got really fine tuned at keeping you on the hook and making you. It's a carnival barker effectively, but it's just Steve Austin and he's put out front and center. As much Austin as you can get away with, you can get it in the pay per view. They don't even. They're not stingy with him at this point. They realize his value above everybody else. Yeah,
massively. And it's almost like they've discovered what quarter hours are. And it's like, oh, right, if you leave people on the hook and like later on there's a promise of something, no matter what it is, it's going to carry people through the show, isn't it? It works a little bit better than a last-second Jim Cornette promo promising something at the end of it. But yeah, it's very similar to what we've been covering on TV. I know you've heard the last Housekeeping stuff.
Yeah, well, what struck me just about the free-for-all was it's just like, this is how it should be, right? You know, what we get today with both companies, AEW and WWE, it's like boring panel stuff and crap matches. And none of it makes me, you know, excited to want to get the show or want to watch the show. And this just all made me excited to order Unforgiven, you know? And I thought it was just like really cool because it was just the proper concept of what it should be, of just like selling the show and not giving things away. And it's so interesting with Austin, like they understand that they don't have to be scared of wasting the Austin pop or whatever, because the pop will be just as loud every time the fans see him.
Definitely. And you see it as well in, like, obviously the other, like, big story going on into this pay-per-view, all the jokes aside with Undertaker and Kane we can get into, but they're even doing it with, like you said, they're like the other, like, side bits. Like, it doesn't age well, but I'm glad Steph covered us early on. Like, the Sable and Luna stuff that runs through this as well. Obviously, they throw to the video package of that. That gets intro by Doc as well, and it's almost just this overhanging threat of you might see some nudity, basically going to the, hopefully now teenagers at least, at home and not full-blown kids, you know, that you might get to see something if you bug your parents to buy this pay-per-view, or if you buy the pay-per-view yourself here as well. And that's also a big part of it. They cover, there's a Mark Mero promo in here as well. Not happy with Sable going through with the match as well. Was that bringing memories back for you, Steph, watching this here as well? And I do wonder what like you would have made of this watching it back, you know, as opposed to maybe the target audience that me and Michael might have been with this stuff.
Yeah, I love the little Mark Mero locker room promo. He's so embarrassed and ashamed, you know, that Sable is going to do this evening gown match, that he won't be out there, and she's just like, you know, silent through it. And it's great. Like, this is what I think is really interesting about the Sable character, is this kind of like weird, almost feminist storyline she has going on, where she's married to this guy who is extremely possessive and extremely jealous. He's like the guy that wants to marry like the hot girl, and then once he does that and realizes that other guys will fancy your wife if you marry like the hottest girl, he then just turns into this like terrible, you know, dickhead that's like trying to cage her. You know, that's what he's trying to do. He's like trying to put her in a cage and cover her up and everything. So I think it's really interesting, and I liked that little bit as well. And I loved video packages. They were
Yeah, there's a
all
full
just,
Sable
like,
Lunavita, isn't there? Yeah.
fantastic. You got to see clips from the WrestleMania match, Sable doing her Sable bomb, and
Well, whoever's taking it doing the Sable bomb for Sable, but yeah, she's also standing there. Yeah.
And the other thing that's great about her as well, it's like she just really wants to fight. Like she just really wants to fight Luna, and she's not intimidated by her at all. And I really do feel sorry for Mark Barrow, and this is like his highlight is just being on this free for all, because he sacrifices himself, for the good of Sable, for the good of getting Sable over, because he just allows himself to be this terrible character. Not only would men dislike him because he's the one that gets to be married to Sable, like they'll also dislike him because he's the one stopping everyone else from seeing Sable, And he seems like a good guy too. I went through his Instagram the other day, and I was sending Benno pictures, because he's still really close with his stepdaughter, Sable's eldest daughter, who they would have been a couple of years old at this time, and Mark Merrow's posting photos with her, and she has a child, so Sable's a grandma now, and Mark Merrow's hanging out, and he's like, here's my daughter and granddaughter, I'm so happy. And I'm just like, oh, Mark Merrow, you really sacrificed for Sable, and it's all her arc is so interesting to me.
He's a good egg, and he comes across like
one of the
really
good guys
good
about
egg, Mark Merrow.
Yeah,
definitely.
I am. The last housekeeping. Sorry, Benno. Yeah, I was just going to say, I suppose we'll talk more about a performance later on in the match, but even in this backstage segment, and it's sort of the opposite of the Austin thing, isn't it? You can see the dress hanging up in the background, and she's in a robe in the locker. So even there's an inference of titillation, even if it's not actually, what you're going to get later on. At this point, I'm in this. I remember it at the time, but as we review this, I'm sort of marveling at Sable at the moment. Especially in contrast to, in the present day, as we record this in 2026, I think it's reasonable to say that quality-wise, there's probably never been a worse, WWE roster. What are they doing in NXT? There's so many bad wrestlers, right? Bad performers. Loads of them, absolutely loads of them. And even when they can do some stuff, it's done in such a way where if even a tiny thing goes wrong or a tiny thing doesn't go as they would have liked, they get that rabbit in the headlights look about them. Yeah. And it just immediately the mask slips, and you're just you're really scared now, and the lights seem really bright. And if anything, I'm kind of pitying you, or I'm sympathetic for you. Male or female, this is, by the way. It feels like a product of the time, of the type of wrestler that WWE promotes. And Sable, and I really do mean this as a compliment, Sable might be the most economic performer I have ever seen for how much she does with ostensibly so little. I don't think she's traditionally a good performer, but I think her charisma is so amazing. There's no sense of debit. There's no it doesn't just outweigh it. It dwarfs. Benno, you mentioned about that Sable bomb. Her charisma and her ability to be a star dwarfs even the need to know how to throw an effective looking powerbomb or a kick or a punch. That stuff I think she gets half decent by halfway through 1998, but it doesn't matter. She could stay completely one note and it would be effective. I really noticed it in the build up to the WrestleMania match. Her facials in particular, I buy it. I buy it 1,000,000%. She's just locked in. There is a confidence. It's, you're funny you say about her, having a daughter. Maybe the stakes are a little bit higher. Maybe she's just oh my God, this is hitting. And I might not have, wrestling is not a kind industry to women, and I might not have very long here. So I've got to maximize every single minute, because it is an overnight, all the wrestling fans and all the sort of, the hardcores and all of that can see that Sonny loves it and lives for it and has what we would consider as wrestling fans the traditional skill set to make it in wrestling. I was
gonna say,
but then sometimes wrestling's not fair, is it? And sometimes it's all about the intangibles, and it's about the stuff that you can't watch tapes all your life to get better at. And when Sable realizes what that is, I think right now she's number 3. It's Austin. It's the unbelievable rise of The Rock. And then it's Sable. And I think you've actually got The Undertaker and Kane just sort of like nestled beneath that in terms of the most, like the sheer popularity or the volume that wrestlers generate because The Rock's a heel. Like, I think she's number 3, just behind Austin and Rock. And it's happened, in like a 2-month, 3-month
genuinely
like span. She's figured that one or two things. Vince Russo obviously gets a lot of pelters for a lot of things, but I think she was his muse a little bit, and I think he worked a lot with her to like help her with a few of the little small details, and obviously everybody behind the scenes saw money in her. But I don't know, like even in this backstage segment, she's figured out just how to be this like this scene chewing megastar, and she elevates everything she's involved in, no matter how little she does. And I think that's impressive. I admire that in a performer rather than having a go at what doesn't work. I don't think it's a deficit.
I think I would definitely have more thoughts on the Sunny Sable, dynamic later when we get to the show. But just one thing to pick up on, I think it's interesting that you say maybe it's where she was in her life, because I mentioned that she had a daughter, and like, so Sable is someone who she is married at about 21, has a daughter, and then she's widowed by 25. She ends up as a single mom. Her husband dies in like a drunk driving accident, and this is all before she meets Mark Merrow. So she's, I think, 30 when she gets signed by WWE, which even I think today might seem old, to people to say that like she's over 30 when she's doing all this stuff. And they allowed her to tap into like something in her. And I think if you read Sunny, talk about her, she's not complimentary to Sable at all, and like really just feels like she's a total bitch, basically. But if Sable does have that in her, she uses it so well on TV, like the way she can scream and get angry, and the facials that she does, like she is really good at projecting that, when the camera's on.
Yeah, she's got like that EWR Fonz factor button ticked out, if you remember that, Michael. It's like if you put like Sable and Sunny next to each other, like their stats, like I think Sunny's charisma will be higher.
Yes.
I think Mike's skills will be higher. I think wrestling knowledge will be higher. I think she's got star presence too, but there's just that intangible, isn't it? Some of it positioning, some of it are taking advantage of the positioning, being totally blunt, like some of it's what she looks like and what she does to improve what she looks like, and it being very 1998 too. But you're right, by this point she's lapped it, hasn't she? And we see that later in the show as well, where it feels like an in-joke to constantly put their segments right next to each other where you can make those direct comparisons. But she's an important part of like the big hook for the show coming up here as well. But yeah, outside of that, there's obviously we do get a Sawyer Brown performance on the pre-show here as well. Feel like we maybe save our water for the proper the proper Sawyer. I was going to say him. Is it a them Sawyer Brown?
No, it's them. It's them. I
thought it was.
I was initially told this a few months ago by my Torch podcast co-host Josh, because we were talking about celebrities in wrestling, and I, being such a big fan of this show, I mentioned Sawyer Brown. But I said,
crack and plug that Sawyer Brown.
Yeah, I basically said that, and Josh was like, actually, that's a band, and he told me about the popularity of Sawyer Brown.
He's a great lad, Guns N' Roses, isn't he? Love him.
I only know from Unforgiven. But I thought like that it was pretty wild that Sawyer Brown do another song on the free for all, and like people seem just kind of okay with this. And I was just like, wow, all right then. All right.
He's doing his wacky dance and everyone's happy.
He's a fun. I'd say he's a good lad, and he like he's got. I was gonna say like you could be flippant and be like, we've talked about how Austin's got you fired up for the show. We've got Sable getting you fired up for the show, but like you see him move, you see him sort of dancing around and doing that wiggle and spin that he does, and it's like, I want to see you do that next to Jeff Jarrett. So you have effectively sold me on buying this pay-per-view, Sawyer.
Love them. Well, or them. I'm not sure at this point. But we also obviously Cole and Austin again trying to find Vince, but more on that in a moment. And yeah, the other big draw I think for this free for all to set up the pay per view is firstly it's Kevin Kelly showing us our very high tech setup for the Inferno match. Obviously, there's the Kane and Undertaker videotape with the fires of Armageddon. We get a bit of Kevin Kelly telling us how this is a natural gas driven 6,000 volt spark. He says, setting this thing up. I feel like the more they show you, the less impressive it is, but maybe I'm spoiling what me and maybe Michael might say later. Gets as high as 8 to 10 feet, he says. Doesn't seem that impressive to me, but fair enough. And then he gets cut off by another video. Like he doesn't even get finished talking, and they just play another video. It's like, stop showing them. You're giving it away that it's a bit shit. Fuck off. But then he is shown back in the ring, and then out comes Kane. And they have the conversation about how hot it's going to be. He asks for Paul Bearer asks for a demo. And it takes about 25 seconds for the flames to finally start going. And then when they do go, one side isn't working. And they're all fucking... If Max Meany was out there, I'm not sure they would have got to the top of his head. But they do the little tease for, want to see them go higher? And Kane does his pose. And then 12 seconds later, on a delay again, they do kind of go over a little bit. But yeah, what did you make of the hard sell they do here, Steph, for the big match that I know you've got you'll be the one saying good things about later, but yeah, they're very. I've never seen any of this footage before, so obviously my first interaction with this whole match is when you get to see it later. But trying to sell it here, but I don't know. What job do you think they did?
I was so shocked by this. Another thing I really loved about the free for all was that the production quality wasn't good, but in an endearing way, not in an AW way. So when Kevin Kelly, I think Kevin Kelly basically says something like, "There's 2 things to know," and then he's cut, like where they cut him off is like after the first thing or something. I find that so funny. But this idea of showing you how the Inferno match works, I was just like, what the hell is this? Are we watching Unreal? Like, they're killing the kayfabe of it here. And
wait till you get the bloke with the fucking knobs in the match. I'll be
I know. But what I thought was, if they're showing like the way that this works, it made me think that, and then Kane comes out, and Kane does his whole thing with the fire, at the turnbuckles. And then it made me thought, like, hang on a second. Now, does Kane really have the power to summon fire? Because I believe that he did have the power to summon fire from the dark side, and that he was in league with Satan. But now that I've seen that they can fix these things around the ring to make the ring go on fire for the Inferno match, I'm starting to think that Kane might just have like fire pyro or something. I don't think
it's on the inside.
I don't think it's on the level. So I just thought that was totally bizarre to show you how they're doing this trick, and then bring out the fire guy and have him summon his fire. And I'm just like, wait, hang on, could he not just summon it all the way around the ring for the match too, or like? What's going on?
There was nothing they could do about it, was there? But there was something so... Maybe there was something they could have done about it. I don't know. But there was like something so like ordinary looking about the little grey strip. Like that little metal strip that looks like... when you buy those things that like tidies your wires up behind your telly?
Yeah.
Like it looked like sort of just like one of them, and then a little flame came out of it. I don't know what I ever... we'll talk about more in the match. But like, I think if they were to do that kind of thing now, they'd see that and they'd be like, well, that looks shit. We're going to have to get an artist in to paint some flames over it or something. Yeah. Like Paul Bearer came up with this in his dream. I don't think he came up with like this little system of wires and the clips and things like that, did he? And a little white box that Kevin Kelly could stand in front of when he was dreaming of the sort of the I think you're right, Steph. I'm not sure this is on the up and up. I think all along we thought that like Kane was sort of on a par of having the powers of a Danhausen, but now we've seen what the real powers look like.
Yeah.
Evidently not.
I thought there must have been a better way they could have done this, like, construction of it. And I always knew it was like that, having seen the match so many times, but I'd never seen it so up close to be like... Yeah.
You've gone to the technicalities of it. They're like, it's 6,000 watts and it's this fucking heat, and it's just like, all right, let's go on.
All this like,
see the full inside
science stuff. It was so weird. It's like, was Paul Bearer making this in his garage or something. It's like a science project. It's so
There's
strange.
a big pipe that runs up the left-hand side of the aisle that wrestlers keep tripping over as well.
Oh, I
you
didn't
can
spot
see
that. That's funny.
had to like wire the flames or whatever it is. And I think it might be like Owen Hart as he's walking at the ring because he has to go around the side of Chyna's cage, and he just like not for the first time in 1998. He takes a pretty prominent like stumble over it as he's walking in the ring, and he's like, "Oh yeah, shit. There's just stuff everywhere now, isn't there? You know, that's what it is when I come to work in 1998."
Hat on a hat. It's what they do. Well, more on that later when we get there. But yeah, same as you, Steph. I was shocked to see it for the first time. But we get a Superstar line ad, a pay-per-view blind ad as they push the hell out of that continuously. Doc does the full card run through. And he does actually mention, I think actually later on, he does actually mention the Rock and Roll of Midnights. Thought they might just pretend that's not happening. And maybe that could be like, that's probably going to pull the buys down rather than send them up. But what is going to send the buys up is the pretty much the close of the free-for-all, which is we have Austin finally finding Vince. And obviously we have a Vince and Austin and Dude Love video package before that as well. But yeah, goes into the office. This is where the conspiracy comes up again. We had a little video as well, didn't we? With JR humbly apologising to old Vince as well. Like that's all part of the overall conspiracy story that we're telling here. Vince says it's a whole load of crap. Austin says he's going to beat his ass. So pretty much in line for both of those, and that leads to a little Dude Love promo with Doc Hendricks in the arena as he comes out, and he also repeats that this conspiracy is not a word in the land of love, and all he knows is that the zebra's going to count 1, 2, 3, and Austin's going to be the one saying "Have mercy," and he does his weird little leg dance at the end of it there, Michael. It's again, hard sell and hard push of this entire conspiracy story and everything going on to this highway to hell that Doc Hendricks calls it to close out.
Yeah, jumping ahead to a few months later, that isn't it? That's
Armageddon comes up a few times too. It's like, lads, it was right there. Come on.
Yeah, like the something catastrophic happening is such a funny promise, isn't it? Because it's so easy to deliver something catastrophic on a wrestling show, but there's like you'd know if it was the catastrophic event or not, wouldn't you? So it's like it's not the sort of thing where they're gonna have to worry about refunds, but you don't know exactly what they're kind of thinking of, and I quite like that. Like, but yeah, all the 1998 buzzwords are starting to come out. Armageddon, conspiracy. We're not we're not far away from cahoots. Like we're hitting all the big phrases that come to define.
Learned so much from wrestling. Explains why you're both journalists now. There you go. That's it. It's all in our heads. They know all these different words and stuff.
I feel like we've had a lot of people do conspiracy in wrestling, right? And I'm pretty sure Sami Zayn's currently doing it. But to me, this felt like the weakest one, looking at the video packages, like as far as a conspiracy goes. As well, it was really interesting seeing the Austin Vince McMahon match thing that they showed in the video packages that I know you covered in Housekeeping, but my God, Vince has the smallest head and yet makes himself have the biggest shoulders. It looks so strange, and it looks even stranger, like looking back on it, to think that this guy, like, I don't know, he just didn't suit having that body like ever, but his head is tiny.
The big reveal when he first takes his top off, it blows everyone's mind, doesn't it? I still remember where I was going, what the fuck is going on? And he's got a tank top that's too small for him. Maybe that was the real catastrophic event.
I just think the term, like, catastrophic event is so, like, bizarre. And we'll get into whether or not a catastrophic event actually takes place. But it is funny that on the opening video package, the narrator says that the catastrophic event will happen sometime during this pay-per-view, and I just thought that phrasing was so funny. You know, like nothing specific. There's just like a catastrophic event will happen sometime during this pay-per-view. You know, it's just very strange.
Did you not catch it, Steph? It was a bit when they said there was going to be a bonus match with the Rock and Roll Express.
Oh, Christ. More on them later. But yeah, like you say, they give it the hard sell of, like I say, the potential catastrophic events. And really, they're basically just saying, there might be another Montreal tonight. Tune in. It'd be good this time, though. Watch it. So that's kind of the hard push. Did I miss anything from the pre-show, Michael? Anything else you wanted to comment on?
No, it was busy, wasn't it? It was. I will say that. Like, I hope we get more like this because they were really starting to phone them in. So I quite enjoyed this.
Well, that takes us into the main show, and like I say, we've already covered the VHS cover. We are in the Greensboro Coliseum. It's Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler on the call, and like you said, Steph, we do get a video package kicking off the proper pay-per-view with Steve Austin and Dude Love and Undertaker and Kane build, because again, they're the main two selling points here. Big load of pyro, big load of crowd shots, but yeah, big load of strange literary references in here, Steph, that I was too stupid to get, that you informed me of what they were here. We're doing high art here in 1998, Michael. That's where we've come to, according to Steph.
This was the greatest video package of all time. This truly was. It tells you the story of Undertaker and Kane and everything that happened. I don't know, is this where I should get into you guys just not getting it? But everything that happened between these two brothers, who, I gotta say, you two, you've clearly never experienced as a child parental death, and it shows. It shows that the way that you two have talked about the Undertaker and Kane, feud that's going on and what happened with their parents. Because for me, right, watching this, I got into the Undertaker just after I experienced parental death, right? So all this stuff for me was so cool, so great, because the Undertaker, he's going to graveyards, he's talking to headstones, he takes his choke slam on his mom's bones, all of that. It is so magnificent. And if you ever want a deep dive into this, you can search my name against Undertaker and Death or something, because this is the first wrestling article I ever wrote for Digital Spy.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Was about how when I was a kid, people were really for a period were really wary of talking to me or saying anything that might upset me because my dad had just died, and when I turned on WWE and I saw the Undertaker doing full funeral stuff, there were coffins everywhere and all this stuff. I just thought it was a weird escape for me, the whole pantomime of it. So I love this video package, and they are quoting Dante's Inferno in this video package, and I'm just who is the scholar that put this together? And it better not be Kane. Right? He better
Smartest man in the room. He reads books.
That's what I was going to say. It better not be that Kane is actually the smartest wrestler and he put together this package. It was really great. Who was narrating it? Was it someone that you've covered before?
I didn't catch the voice. Did you, Michael?
No, well, it was the gravelly voiced guy who I think they start using more after this rather than a guy
had a voice. But they're talking about the Inferno match, going into the 9 layers of hell and everything. It was just so cool, and I was so psyched. I rewound that back and watched that 3 times. This was the best intro package ever. And then when they go through all the Undertaker and Kane stuff, and it's so intense and hell and death and brothers and everything, it's so much. The Austin and Dude Love stuff just felt a bit because there's a conspiracy or something. And even the line I mentioned where sometime during Unforgiven something catastrophic will happen was just weird. But Undertaker and Kane, I mean, what is life about if not love and death? And that's what their story is. Their love for each other, their love for their parents, the death of their parents, all of it coming together here to be surrounded by fire. like Who's Going to Hell. It was amazing video package. This has never been topped. Amazing.
I love it. I loved it. You loved it. Unfortunately, Michael, it might be me and you going to hell when we bury that match 6 feet under later, but we'll back you for now. We'll back you for now.
So cool and dark, guys. Come on. It's a movie.
Never been topped, Steph. I feel like those are going to be the words in a review of a podcast in 10 times when they're looking for insight like that from me and Benno talking about rock or something. Like,
incredible.
Shut it down. Unbelievable. I did not, like, how can I put this nicely? I did not imagine I would be listening to insight quite as, like, deep and meaningful as that when last month I was taking notes on how they zoomed in on one of the Undertaker's mom's corpse's bones next to him selling a choke slam. This was not where I thought this journey would take us, but I'm glad to be on it.
This is why I had to be on it. Like, I fully get it. I will have to tell everyone that please don't think that my brother was responsible for my father's death or anything. It wasn't him.
It's fine. They've changed the storyline 4 different times and it's moved around now. Like, they don't even know if they wrote a book about it. They wouldn't even know. It's fine. And that's the little get out with this story too. But no,
that's Steph. That's not your hair, is it? It's like Kane when he was wearing a tea towel over his head for a bit when he was like, oh, the scars weren't on my face all along. They were just mental. It's fine.
Yeah, Mark looks quite well for it, to be fair. But
have you guys ever gone into, like, I really noticed it this episode, just how much Kane just needed a tiny bit more black eyeshadow under that mask. They're
still zooming in on the eye gaps as well.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it actually kind of, like, because they like the one eye gimmick, don't they?
Yeah.
But, like, every time you look closely and every time he shifts a little bit, he's only painted like the absolute bare minimum, and it just makes it straight away. It makes you think, well, you just got like panda eyes under that mask, haven't you? Which does actually
humanize them too much
a little bit. Yeah.
Did we all do that thing, by the way, whenever we got like No Mercy or any of the wrestling games where you could change the wrestlers' attires? First thing you do is go into Kane and take his mask off just to see what have they done behind it. Like, I knew at that point he was Isaac Yankum, but like some of the games would have just like a blank face, and like other ones it'd just be a bloke with eyeshadow, but didn't look anything like Glenn Jacobs.
I think it's Warzone. I think it is like Warzone on the PS1. Maybe I might be getting that slightly wrong. It's the first bit of media ever that dared to have a crack at unmasking Kane. Because you could, there was a feature in there somewhere that you could nobody was quite sure. Like, nobody in 1997 was thinking, what are we going to do when we need to actually pay any of this off? Nobody was asking those questions. But this one game took a stab at it.
I think of the law. I think it all through, like our stuff. There you go. And like all the kids at home who had the figures and they were trying to pull the masks off just to see if they bothered painting something underneath. I definitely did that too. Maybe not with Kane.
Why would you want to do that? The poor guy, he's scarred.
In my head, it was an idea like somebody would have drawn something behind it. Like, why would they? Now that you think about it, I don't like that. Makes no sense at all. But I was just trying to get to the bottom of this mystery, but I definitely wasn't looking into it in as much amazing depth as Michael said there, as you, Steph. But we'll get to the.
I just want to say, as when the video package ends and we get to the arena, wrestling, like, we don't have enough weedy men showing their muscles as soon as like cameras get on them at the start of shows. That was just so 90s. Did you notice that? All the men get these just weedy men getting their muscles out for the camera. God,
they've never been more empowered to be like their best. Because like, we're wrestling fans. Like, in these buildings, they get to pretend to be like dude bro jocks, but 95% of their time they're bullied by the actual dude bro jocks, but not here. This is their time to shine. There are no lockers for them to get stuffed into here. This is their time to shine.
Definitely. It's the world that they become caught up, I think, with that bro culture, caught up with wrestling. Somewhere everything met in the middle, didn't it? And that's very much what the late 90s are. But yeah, like I said, we'll talk more Kane and Undertaker later on in the show, but that does take us to our first match, the 6-man tag, which kicks things off, and we talked on housekeeping of the build to this one. The Rock, D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry, very much a new nation, very much looking like a new nation here as well, with Cameron Mustafa in their corner against the obvious group of lads that would, of course, teamed up with each other. Ken Shamrock, Farouk, and Steve Blackman, obviously with Farouk looking for revenge after being taken out of the Nation of Domination and also losing his rights to entrance music as he comes out and also leaves to Ken Shamrock's music here. But yeah, very much the presentation of the Nation we expect in '98 with the hip-hop inspired Nation entrance theme. And yeah, very much a gang of lads, are the other three on the other side. Even throwing up a little cheeky salute there, Steph, the three of them. I know you've heard the housekeeping since to maybe explain some of that lore, but it's still a mad one to parachute in on and see this team.
It's crazy. It just made me feel so sorry for Farouk. And Farouk is wearing like the same Nation gear as the members of the Nation to make it even sadder. And he's like Mark Merrow, Farouk sacrificed a lot because this, like the Nation gimmick, it was something, it was edgy. It had stuff behind it. And now he ends up doing this salute next to two white guys in the middle of a ring in North Carolina. It's completely bizarre, and I felt bad for him. And The Rock and D'Lo and Kama and Mark Henry and all, like that is what I think of when I think of the Nation. But I couldn't help but feel really bad for Farouk. But I did want to say on Steve Blackman, I always really liked Steve Blackman and I had like fond memories of him. But is it just me, or when I saw him here, I was like, he looks like a total bum. Like he's giving Michael Wardlow. You know what I mean? Like the pants, the scruffiness. He looks like a guy who just ran out to get the morning paper or the fags or something. Like
that's how he ended up interrupting Jeff later on. Like he just got lost.
It's just like, what the heck? He looked so bad, but poor Farouk.
Just like Ron and Ken and Steve just sound like Coronation Street characters, like banding together, don't they? Like
they all work on the building site or something. They all work together in construction, like just a group of lads in it. Ken, Steve, and Ron.
It's sort of like when like all the Nation came in as well, and you're supposed to like be angry at The Rock for kind of assuming control, and as you say, leaving Farouk, bless him, to just try and find some some help from the hardest white guys on Raw, that kind of thing. Like all the Nation now, they don't do silly. They come in and they do their own pose. Like The Rock sort of empowered them to be themselves a bit. We said this in the last housekeeping. Like all of a sudden, every Nation members got a little bit more personality, and you're kind of thinking, hang on, aren't you supposed to be more under The Rock's thumb? But they just, I don't know, they seem like they're having a better time of it now that Farouk's out of the way, don't they?
I like that about them. I like that, like, even, Mark Henry's obviously new recruit for Rock, so that fits like this new Nation like aesthetic. And then D'Lo feels like a new man, doesn't he? It's almost like he stepped out the shadows and now he's a real thing. Like the commentary's even putting him over, aren't they? As like this underrated gem who's going to show everyone. Like it does. It just, everything about it feels new. It feels like he's given new life to the lads there. And yeah, I mean, as a match, still not too much. It's a 6-man tag match on an open to WWF show, but it does pay off. Like a lot of that story too. You get early stages. You get Farouk whipping D'Lo with the belt again. D'Lo's often in these positions. He's normally the one carrying the match or the one taking the worst offense and having to sell for people. But that works. It shows that maybe there's still a little bit of a flame for Farouk, even if he is a bit of a scrub at this point here. The babyfaces obviously take turns taking offense there. Steve's a bit the boring one. Ken gets the louder pops. That's pretty much their dynamic as an overall group. In the end, it's Steve Blackman that takes the majority of the heat from the heavy hitter, Mark Henry, according to the commentary, who definitely gets lost a few times within this match and has to be directed. He's still very, very early days here. But yeah, a lot of the Rock Picketers moments jumping in, when Ron Simmons is there, when Farouk is there, and I get a little bit in, even throws in a little people's elbow in there as well. But yeah, all leads to D'Lo again, that man, most pivotal man in the match, missing a moonsault. Farouk gets a lukewarm tag. It all breaks down as these 6-man matches tend to. And then a genuine shock to me, Michael, to open up Unforgiven. He hits a terrible looking Dominator on The Rock. And he pins him. 1, 2, 3. And as I joked before, Ken Shamrock's music hits, which is quite funny. But like, I was genuinely jaw agape. Maybe I misread the results to this one. Maybe I misremembered it. But wow, like to me, Farouk's already dead in the water, and he's just there to be, just be pushed further down there for The Rock to just float up even higher. But wow, a Farouk win on pay-per-view here. It is a 6-man tag, but tells you there's still more juice here, I guess.
It's quite nice, I guess, isn't it? Because we've talked about how like Farouk had to be so giving of himself for The Rock to sort of bounce his jokes off of for the last sort of 6 months. And now that he's done that and The Rock has like just like jumped into that with both feet and has become The Rock, like the only thing really left for Farouk is to have that token title match, which he's got no chance of winning. But this is them giving it the old college try. Like you can't really fault them for testing the water of like, right, how will the fans actually react to Farouk getting the win here? Like, could they're asking the right question, aren't they? Could they buy him as an actual challenger at The Rock's title? And is The Rock's comeuppance for taking the nation off him going to be that he's going to lose the title? So like, I don't mind it. It doesn't feel super consequential. The Dominator, like you can see why they kind of like told him to ease up on that one, because every single time's got like such a cool air of danger about it. But it's class to watch, even as you're seeing somebody's neck hit that mat. But like my only big note on this one was like we fully entered. I think Meltzer came up with this. I'd have to give him credit, but we fully entered the chin rock era, where like The Rock still doesn't have that much to do when he's on offense, but he's still really good applying the chin lock. Like I can forgive it more now than I used to then when Finn Martin and Dave Meltzer were telling me he was a crap wrestler, because I'm watching him and all he's doing is sat there holding on a chin lock, but his head is constantly moving. He's spitting. He's like growling at fans in the crowd and
commanding
like,
attention.
The Rocky sucks chants are absolutely booming. That's working. And physically, there might not be anything going on, but all the jobs are being done. All the things are being tended to. The hot tag is getting hotter. The Rock's getting more heat. He's not wasting the motion and getting his breath. He's actually doing something. It just so happens that he's kind of only got a chin lock until he starts to figure out that he can move around a little bit more. I quite enjoyed it. Genuinely, I quite enjoyed it. This, if nothing else, like I'm the same as you. We all know that Fruit kind of is dead in the water, but they've bought my attention for one more match between these two before we properly put it to bed.
What was your take on this one, Steph? And what did you make of looking at young Rock here and old Ron?
Yeah, I think I enjoyed it just because I like watching The Rock in this period before like he really, really takes off. He's he's not the best wrestler, but he's such a great performer, and especially, he's opposite Shamrock and Blackman, who just are like two robots, in this match, like the way they appear, and he has so much charisma. And I'm glad I know that Farouk ends up continuing to receive paychecks into the 2000s. I'm glad I know that about him, or I would have been a lot sadder watching it. But it was a fine match, but it was just funny to like see the dynamic of The Rock now in charge of this nation, the nation that I remember. And Mark Henry always sucked and always will suck as a wrestler.
Yeah, at least when Rock's still trying to work it out, he's like, he's working out like the kinks of what the people's elbows final form's going to look like. Mark Henry's figuring out when to actually go for a pinfall after I've done a body slam. Like he's looking at Farouk going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Like he doesn't know where he is, and they're about the same experience, aren't they? Like if you think about it, when Mark Henry came in too. Can't all be The Rock, unfortunately, but. Yeah, it was fun enough. Good to see that, like say, The Rock putting bits together, and genuinely surprised for me to see Farouk going over at the end. And as you say, Michael, he does get a little bit of a promo time doing the UFC style post match stuff. A few of them on the show with Michael Cole talking to Farouk, who says, as you say, it is only the beginning of him and The Rock to set up more to come for us, but. Yeah, unless there's more on that one, that takes us into, we have an unscheduled segment next. There's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Again, the pay-per-views are becoming more like Raws. Comes out, the commentators are very confused as to what he's doing there. But again, to continue on this long-running story we've got going through the entire show, and obviously everything surrounding Vince McMahon, Austin is out there to pulls in timekeeper Mark Eaton. I think I've said Mark Eaton before, but Eaton, and he warns him that Vince McMahon is going to be trying to cost him the title, and if he helps him, both Vince and Eaton will pay for it. Obviously goes through a few things there, obviously saying that that last week Vince had told him to ring the bell, and he said if if Vince screws him, Austin's going to drag him up and down the aisles, and if you help Vince do it, I'll do it to you as well. Vince could always fire you. You could always find another job, but you can't find another life. Is a good little line from Austin in there as he tells Eaton to take his scruffy little ass out of the ring. And also throws in, I think as well, Michael, I think that notable that like he's an honourable babyface champion in a lot of ways still at this point. Saying if dude beats me fair and square, fair enough. But if it gets screwed, both your asses are getting whipped. I like that underlying hook to this entire thing that he's happy to do things the right way, but obviously if it goes the other way, he really is still a babyface at heart.
It's important, isn't it? This is why he gets the credit he gets, and how he's always praised for his instincts and things like that. We've tracked over the last couple of years when he makes tiny adjustments to how much he wants to let the fans in, or how much he wants to actually act like the babyface, even though he's the anti-hero. And I think that's another good example of it. The understanding of you've still, even when you're the guy that kicks everybody's ass, you've still got to acknowledge that somebody might be able to kick yours. Otherwise, what are we doing here? And I love this, the conspiracy stuff. It doesn't really feel. I guess you've got to accept the context and think, right, this is all in the shadow of Montreal, and they're still experimenting with the Vince McMahon character. This is my favorite period of the Vince character because I like it. The more he attempts to be a jacked up Jack Tunney, the more I like the character. The sillier it gets, the less the character kind of makes sense. I like that he's trying to be like the school administrator of the WWF, just still. And that's what I like about this, because this is, if you take Austin in this particular period of his career, this is like early Hulkamania, isn't it? And what did you do with Hulk at the time? You had to find a monster who looked big or scary enough to beat Hulk, because a normal man couldn't do it. We can't really do that in the late 90s, can you? So what's the monster? The monster is a corporation. People that are sat in seats by the ring, people that are in suits backstage, the busy businessmen that Vince McMahon surrounds himself with. The corporation is King Kong Bundy. The corporation is Andre the Giant. It's you can't have a big fat wrestler. You've got to have 20 guys that have high-powered jobs. It's do you know what I mean? That's the 90s version. That's the Austin version of the big sweaty monster that Hulk Hogan would have to beat with a leg drop. So I do genuinely I think it's easy to forget it because it becomes so cliched. 10 years later or whatever. Well, we've talked about this. Why the hell would Eric Bischoff want to screw with John Cena when John Cena is the biggest moneymaker? They don't ever think about why you have an anti-authority figure. But back here, this is super original stuff, super original. Austin has got to fight the world just to not get screwed in his first pay-per-view title match. I think it's super effective.
Yeah, I have to remind myself watching it. I have to remind myself that this is fresh, because I'm like, here we go, authority figure nonsense again. It's no, it's the original authority figure nonsense. We are so early into this Vince McMahon run. Again, this becomes normal for Austin and Vince, doesn't it? Like you say, it becomes normal for Austin and multiple other general managers and many other wrestlers and general managers. But you've almost got to remove that from it. I don't know if you felt the same way, Steph.
Yeah, definitely. It's so. It feels unbelievable that it is Austin's first title defense. We're that
his first pay-per-view as champion,
early in it. Yeah. Yep. And I agree. The Montreal hanging over, and Montreal does get mentioned at one point during the show too. Per Mark Eaton, is having to step up here and take a starring role at Unforgiven '98. He's Tracy in EastEnders when she gets, finally gets some lines. It is just so oddly funny how much this man is referenced.
Yeah.
And I love those old school Austin promos where he says these such American Texan lines. You mentioned a few of them, but he says to Eaton something like put some bass in your voice when you talk to me or something.
That's a proper Austinism. I've used that in real life, to be honest. I've got to be honest. I heard him do it and I was like, oh, that's a great line. That's a great line. Yeah,
it's such an Austinism. But it's really cool. And I said, during the pre-show that it's cool that they won't, they don't care about exhausting the pop, because you're always going to get a pop. So I just like bringing them out here when we've all already paid our money to watch Unforgiven. You don't have to tease us or do anything anymore, and they still bring him out to further this storyline, and it's a good thing that we so rarely see now like threads that go through weekly shows or pay-per-views or whatever, but here they were so into it, and even at this one they just bring him out. Like if you're just a fan there at the arena, like the glass shatters, you know, right after that wonderful Nation match, and there's Steve Austin. It's cool.
To remind you, it's still hot. Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, isn't it? If you are, you know, there live or you're watching on pay-per-view, what do you want? You want what you're seeing on telly. You want what's working on telly. They're starting to experiment. Like, obviously, it was something they were doing over the last year or so with Austin getting in-ring segments, but it isn't enough anymore for him to just have a match. You want him to go out there and do a bit of talking, even if it's talking to the timekeeper. But again, there's this show-long story of the catastrophic possible event coming up. So all works well, but. Yeah, that takes us, speaking of headlocks, Michael, into the WWF European Championship match here with Triple H versus Owen Hart. In fact, I'll go to you first, Steph. Obviously, the background to this one. We talked a little bit about our housekeeping, but I mean, the Owen Hart stuff has not been the most exciting stuff we've been covered over the last while. But obviously, China suspended above the ring is the you don't even use the terminology shark cage here, do they? But it's essentially the shark cage gimmick. We got a bit of a recap as to why that would be. Obviously, being handcuffed to Sergeant Mania and using the powder on him and low blowing that fucking loser Owen Hart. It's a means to try and stop that happening once again. Coming off of Mania, takes an age to get her up to the shark cage, but China very much taking a starring role here, Steph, in this one, in this overall story. I don't know if you have many memories of all that.
Yeah, alongside the Undertaker, my number 2 guy was Triple H, and it's been a while since I watched anything this far back, and this guy, this original actor that played Triple H before he ended up like cutting his, like that other guy with the haircut and that's really, really jacked and everything. He does not look as good as this original actor that played Triple H with the long blonde hair and the kind of more normal wrestler physique, shall we say, than the one that he ended up with. It's like he's like, people don't talk about that enough. Yeah, like he's like wrestling's Michael Jackson, but it's the physique that changed. Where you're just like, you know, I just feel like people. I was there at the time, and we all should have just been a little bit more shocked at what he went through.
It became normal very quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like the entire relationship. But Stephanie became quite normal. Like, you just talk about it now. Oh, yeah, he runs WWE. It's like, well, why? Like, how did we get there? Like, he's just hoodwinked us all. Like, something about him. That's what he's done. And he did it with the body, too.
This is the thing, though, when people that are, you know, younger than us, when they shouldn't be allowed to have opinions on Triple H, like especially this kind of, you know, daddy Triple H NXT opinion, because you have to have either been there or studied his career to really be able to form a proper opinion on. Because this man that you see here, you would have never thought would be the guy, you know, that's head of creative. So it's so bizarre. And Triple H, whatever he did with NXT, whoever he signed, whoever he brought in, whatever he's done in the main roster, the best bit of talent scouting he ever did was China.
Oh, I mean,
nothing has ever beaten him taking that chance on China. You know, her meeting him and him just instantly knowing that she was going to fit in. And Vince not getting it, him getting Sean on side for it, and just seeing that in where the WWF was and how women were in the WWF, like how great China would be.
Yeah.
And there were so many signs of China. China, no cage can hold your rage. Playboy needs China, another sign that stood out to me.
True.
But that's his best bit of talent scouting. It's better than anyone else he's ever brought in.
100%.
Because
I think he's carried it through to modern day as well. Like, he still likes, like, oh, you got a bit of muscle on your have you as well. Like, he's still got that, like, or even just like the more monster types. Like, he knows that was a good idea, and he always wants to go back to it.
But 100%. You will never repeat it, because they, you know, in the years after China, they do like Nicole Bass and is it Asia in WCW?
Asia,
the
10th wonder of the world.
Never works. Like, China is so unique. she looks amazing here. It's like her best era with like the ripped trousers are so iconic. And poor Owen Hart, because Owen has a lot of great attributes as a wrestler and as a character, but he's like just here to he's the brother of Bret Hart that got screwed, by the WWF machine, but in a way he's almost like fighting because Sergeant Slaughter can't, because all the good stuff is with Slaughter. It's Slaughter that she's handcuffed to. Back when Sean's there, it's Slaughter that they do all like the funny windshield wiper thing with. So poor Owen just has to be there. But by God, he tries. I always remember him that the camera picks up him saying when she's getting in the cage, like, that European belt means too much to me. I can't jeopardize it. Ugh. Like, it's so funny. Like that
fucking
European
loser
belt.
Oh God, he's doing like He's like the grass or something, isn't he? He's like you hear his bin lorry reversing music, and out he comes and he trips over the wire and he stands on the apron. He's bollocking, trying to get in the cage, and then like the camera catches him doing like a Butlins clap that doesn't even get going as she's being. He's
so awful.
The worst.
It's a weird match like for that as well, because like to your point before, Steph, specifically about China, like this is like me and Michael have been talking about it a while, but like Triple H's biggest attribute is China, the match. Like you see that here, don't you? Like as a match, you're right. Owen, gets the hot start on it and gets jump as she's going up in the shark cage, and all eyes are still on China. He gets a bit of a shine, gets to beat up Hunter a little bit. He gets his moments all around the ring, all around the outside, back into the ring, and it turns into a bit of heat with Hunter hitting the snake eyes, and then a knee, and then many headlocks that we can talk about. Michael, with this one, he doesn't have that rock excuse, I wouldn't say. It's very much headlocks a go-go, this. But all the while through it, you're just looking at China, aren't you? Because China's got a file. Like she's got a key. She's going to get herself out. Like all of it. Like Owen's like big comeback is hitting some Germans and pile drivers. He's like a top rope elbow. No, I don't want to look at that. I want to look at China because she's bending the fucking bars, Michael, and like she's gonna try and get out the cage. And then just as Owen starts to like put together some more offense, so like it's a DDT at a sharp, she's fucking dangling from the cage now, and the cage is being lowered by a mystery person that doesn't get caught on camera. That turns out to be the Road Dogg, unfortunately. But it's just like, look at what China's doing. Look at what China's doing. And then just when you think Owen's going to get somewhere with his own pedigree, he does get caught by X-Pac running out with the fire extinguisher in his Adidas tracksuit. And even though he's stolen Triple H's move, he's still a fucking loser because Triple H rolled over and pins him. But like, all of that is just background, isn't it? What's China doing now? Where's China now? Oh my God, she's dangling. Even Owen at one point just leaves the match, just stand under and like act like he's going to catch her. I don't even know what his idea is there, but like she is the overwhelming star of this entire thing, Michael, and it's very much the truth of a lot of what we've been saying of these recent Triple H matches.
I'm gonna sound like I'm giving Triple H a pass here, and I don't mean to. Like WWE don't like to produce matches where there's two things to watch in the way that WCW would. They do like the split screen. If there was like a tag brawl or whatever, or the World War III one where there was the three panels. WWF have never liked that ever. Even now, like you get like they'll split screen something like Obafemi's entrance so that you can see people doing Obafemi's walk as he walks the ring, but it's not a common WWE production choice. So I do think there was an element of don't do much because we kind of want everybody to watch China. Like, I think that if you think about even how they didn't use the hard camera as much, they were like, because she was in the aisle. So you were seeing a lot of the action with China constantly in the background. And if they could have done, I imagine they would have switched the zoom lens so that the match was a blur and that you had more detail on China. Because, you're right, like it was all you could watch. So I think an element of that was, right, just sit in a headlock because we want all eyes on China up here. But then, even then, like, so even if they know, all the wrestlers know, right, the focus here is China, really. Like, the fact that their big idea, once she bends the bars, isn't to, like, get that cage lowered first, because none of us are going to think anything of that. None of us are going to think when she's hanging down, like, oh, they've lowered the cage a bit. We've just been like, oh, yeah, she's made it out.
Totally.
The fact that they don't start lowering the cage until she's hanging on is like, it's nail-biting drama.
Yeah.
As you say, at this point, it's almost a problem that they've they've started doing German suplexes and pile drivers, because it's never been more dramatic on the floor. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, look at China. Like, that's the point where you almost want them to not be doing a lot, because I can't pay attention to you. Have you seen that there's a woman hanging from a cage over there? Like, it's a mind-blowing visual that you completely take for granted, because they like every now and then the commentators were like, "Oh, Owen could win the European title." Jim, I don't care, pal. Like, it's just almost the less focused about. I did like X-Pac, with the with the trackie that I'm almost definitely owned back in 1998. But I like that the fire extinguisher was opportune, because it was obviously there for the Inferno match later on. So I love that he's just he's a little rat. He's gone and seen what's at ringside, and he's found a fire. Oh, this will do. And he's just cracked Owen in the head with it. So I like that choice as a weapon. And yeah, like the production wasn't perfect, but as well, I've got to give him credit here. You wouldn't have thought when Owen does his promo after the match, you wouldn't have figured out what was coming from that and what it would lead to for the summer. It's like a really important plot point that Owen gets fucked over by this group. And as well, they've spotted it at the right time, because the music hits here and Triple H and trying to get a pop. Are You Ready was already. I tell you what, I didn't like how jarring is it to see Triple H coming out to a pop. They're pretty much baby faces DX, and he's still got that big posh Hunter Hearst Helmsley jacket on. You're get that off. I know I'm one to talk, but grow your stubble in a bit more and get that shitty jacket off. You're not your instincts are so shit, Paul. I know Sean's gone, but can you learn to do this, please? Because you're a goodie. Can you start looking like one?
Road Dogg and Billy have already got it, haven't they? It's just Triple H. It's taking us time to get it.
I have to just.
He needs to, like me, Steph, steal a 3-stripe Adidas trackie maybe from you. That's in the cupboard behind me. I should have worn it tonight. There you go.
You should
Triple
have.
H really want to.
I love the period where he is in DX, but he hasn't, become like a leather jacket wearer yet. I like him still coming out, because I think that it's just so odd that he goes from this snob character to being in this crass group. But I like that he does retain an element of the snob character, because I think there are men like that would be really upper class and then, become these terrible, vulgar, prankster person. So I always liked seeing him come out still in the big, thing with it.
Those huge shoulders that he's got, the big silver shoulders coming out the corner of the jacket.
He looks so great here. And another thing, as someone that used to be a bit of a gooner for Triple H. The commentary, especially Lawler, they always mentioned how big his nose was. They never got away from that. So you were always thinking, that guy does have a huge hair.
That's Vince on the headset, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go on, have a go with him.
Vince not knowing that this is going to be his son-in-law, which makes it even more bizarre. But you're so right.
Stephanie's at home going, I quite like big noses. Yeah, that's good point.
Me too. Stephanie. All Stephanies are at home saying this, But yeah, they even put a camera in the cage for China, which is so cool. But this match is another part of why I love this show so much. It's not just the Inferno match, because I just remember China in that shark cage. Do you think she was meant to drop the file?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because
it's the dangle, like Michael said.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much of that is supposed to happen, because I honestly think Owen Hart is concerned, and she looks a bit concerned, it's not going down,
That's
it's not going down, what's going to happen? But she's so compelling, isn't it? Even when even when she's in the cage and the commentary is going, oh, she looks like she's scared of heights or is claustrophobic. She plays it like she might be just a little bit. She's still hard as nails. She's still trying to, but she plays it just perfectly enough. She's genuinely the entire. It's not just that it is it's the focus, absolutely, and it's not just the Triple H's shit. She herself is actually really compelling. It's good character work from her, the levels of it, and I say character work. Some of it might be true.
She was really good when she had that role, and and that was what they gave her to be China. It's only later in her career when her acting and stuff isn't as great. But the shark cage, putting China in a cage, it's really silly if you think about it, because just the whole idea is to get out of it. So what's the point of putting her in the cage? And surely there should be some laws against trying to get out of it. But watching her like bend the bars, I think when the first time I ever watched this, at no point did I think there was any work involved in that. I was just like, of course she can bend those bars. And the way she hangs, like, I just think when you try and like do pull-ups or anything at the gym, and like your hands getting sweaty and sore is what prevents you from doing pull-ups more than not being able to. At least like that's what I find. It's your hands give out before anything else. And she's able to hang on and like crunch up to get her legs up. Like it's absolutely fantastic. And it's so memorable. And I don't think there's been a person in the cage spot that is as memorable to me as China doing it, because there's obviously there's fun you can have if you put someone like a cornet in a cage or whatever, but that's just laughing at a fat guy. This is watching like really a compelling thing of this strong like Xena warrior princess trying to get out of this cage. It's amazing.
Steph, you've made a point on there when we were talking about Sable on the pre-show that like Mark Mero is trying to keep Sable in a metaphorical cage.
Yes.
And now we've got China breaking out of a literal one. Like, is this the first time that I'm realizing that of all things, 1998 Fed is attempting to be progressive? Like, that's like, there's the messaging is like, women are bursting out the cages and they're dealing with their dipshit colleagues or husbands or partners or whatever. There's two on the same show. Like, I never thought the most sort of like jockey attitude era would be right on. But like they don't. China's above all of these, isn't she?
Yes.
She's like, she clears every single person out there. Like Slaughter. Like Slaughter's like, what a complete clown she's made of Sergeant Slaughter again.
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously it's political power that DX have managed to get for her as well. But I mean, she's awesome. China is absolutely awesome.
Another important megastar, I think, in this overall stew that we're cooking. Like you'll say it, Steph, as well. Like, when you speak to people, like, I like wrestling, and then they start listing off people. You're like, I don't think China's far down that list. Like, especially for people who, the ones who watched it for a couple of years in this period. Like, they're gonna remember Austin, they're gonna remember Rock, they're gonna remember Undertaker. I think they remember the Hardy Boys a couple of years later. Like, there's names like that just, I think, for whatever reason, resonate and stick with those people. She's another one. I think she's a gigantic, almost forgotten star of this period.
I think when like the attitude era was not for girls to watch, but everything that you're getting served up, like for example, if you watch the 97 Slammies, and there's a Miss Slammy contest, and all the women have to do talent bikini, and when it's China's turn in the bikini, like Triple H gets up there and he's like, no, like China's not going to do that. Like, she's like the ninth wonder of the world, and then her talent is just lifting weights and stuff too. And she is one of the most groundbreaking characters that WWE has ever done, because not only is she really strong and like can take on anyone, she's so highly respected by Shawn and Triple H, two guys that don't respect anyone. Like they respect China, and you see more of that when you get a little bit later in 1998, in SummerSlam, with how she's treated there, and The Rock ends up doing some really bad things to China in the run up to that. Yeah. But she was just such a groundbreaking character, and WWE can never kind of keep that, or like there is something in this era that is a little bit progressive, like you were saying, Michael, that it might be like there is, that gets quickly like put aside, but China is definitely just one of the best characters they've ever had, and like Triple H's best idea was China, and when she was in that good position with him, and had like Shawn backing her and everything, she was fantastic.
Sure. Post-match we have, like you mentioned, Michael, Cole, guerrilla reporter, pushing Owen Hart on, and yet another loss to Triple H, like it's the most disgusting thing in the world, which is fair enough. And we get the Owen angry interview talking about it being bullshit. Enough is enough. Yeah. And things have got to change. Might have heard that somewhere before with Owen, but where that goes next, we'll cover on the next Housekeeping. But from there we go to our next match, which is the NWA World's Tag Team Championship match. As for fuck's sake, here comes Jim Cornette, is what I've got written on my notes. He's going on about who is the greatest tag team in the world out of the Rock and Rolls and the Midnights, like anyone in 1998 cares. He introduces every mother's nightmare and every schoolgirl's dream, the new Midnight Express, Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart. Got a good song at least. And then the Rock and Rolls come out because, yes, it is the Midnights versus the Rock and Rolls. And they even give the cheeky fuckers the Rockers song, unless my version that I watched was dubbed. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't. And we then have a match. The one that we were looking forward to on this one, Michael, the NWA World Tag Team title match. As JR goes on about old men and Jerry Lawler just wants to talk about Sable. I'd rather talk about China, but I think I'd maybe rather talk about Sable than talk about whatever they're doing here.
Well, I mean, let's go back to that introduction, shall we? Like, I'm going to have to throw this one over to Steph. Like, you were a schoolgirl when this pay-per-view was airing, Steph. What dreams were you having about Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart? Because me and Benno can't offer anything on this one.
Guys, this was the real reason I wanted to do this show. Was for Bombastic Bob and Bodacious Bart.
Fucking geeks. I know they're supposed to be geeks, but still, what fucking geeks. It's like it's Bob Holly and Bart Gunn, everyone. Like, oh my God.
Do you feel sorry for Bart with Billy, getting in the New Age Outlaws and that is like the edgy and what's in, and his ex-tag team partner is the complete opposite, doing this throwback gimmick? Like, what the hell?
I want to see that Bart Gunn in New Age Outlaws. To be fair, he'd be about as useful as Billy. Billy's just the other guy who stands there, isn't he, for the majority of it? He won the lottery, and Bart definitely didn't.
This whole thing,
like Jim, they even know. They all know this is shit. Sorry, Steph. Like everybody here, wrestlers included, maybe not the Rock and Roll Express. They all know this is shit. Like Jim Ross is talking about, there's been rumors about a bonus match, and they're Ricky and Robert may be more classic rock and rolls these days, but they're still rockers. Like, they're not even couching it, are they? They're just like, these are old. Jim Cornette's idea was stupid. They're putting it all on Cornette that this NWA mess has ever even happened. Like, I think because there's no heat, obviously. So that's when you mentioned that they started talking about the evening gown match. And that's given friggin' Jerry Lawler a free pass to just talk about that rather than pay attention to the match. And Jim Ross kind of can't get it back on track. Like, the Memphis stuff with Tim White gets a pop because they're in Greensboro. Like Jim Cornette and Tim White shoving the referee. Of course, it's going to get a pop because the old stuff always just tend to work. But like even Jim Ross, I can't remember if it's after the finish, but I've got in my notes somewhere. He says, "Well, that was a piece of nostalgia. We hope you enjoyed that." It was as if they were airing. It was as if they were airing a From the Vault segment live in the flesh, wasn't it? They've not. I know the Rock and Rolls are getting on a bit, but they've just sent Bruno Sammartino out there to grab a hold and fondle some bollocks for 10 minutes. But they didn't even want to present this themselves, and yet we're watching it. Like, why should we care if they don't? Heatless shit.
Robert Gibson, Steph here. I just think we're wrong, Michael. The numbers there's no way this is a 39-year-old man with his bald spot and his pot belly and his hairy little chest. Like, he looks so shit. Like, all of it looks so shit. Like, it doesn't belong on television, never mind pay-per-view. I was a Vince McMahon WWF allowing this to get through the curtain. It just, I don't know if you had memories of it, Steph, but it must have blown your mind as well. Like, what on earth is this?
Yeah. So with how I started watching and then having to go back a couple of months to the 1998, I was always super.
You were like, I've gone back 10 years. Sorry, well, I need to go fast forward a bit more.
I was always super confused by this NWA stuff. It wasn't until I got older and ended up hearing why. I was always confused by Cornette bringing out the NWA tag titles and whatever. From listening to Housekeeping I agree with you, Michael. The real conspiracy is what's happening to Jim Cornette here. I agree that he is being set up to show how shit his idea is. I think that Cornette, he does have a really good wrestling brain, but even nowadays, what holds Cornette back is that he can sometimes be too old school with stuff and too unwilling to move with the times. And he's like kind of always been like that and had this nostalgia because he has such a long history of wrestling from he was a boy that he always like he can't get rid of that. And he's also, Cornette would probably have a job in a good company if he didn't hold so many grudges too. But when you look at this period with the stuff with, you know, with Russo that he still hates, the man was getting set up. Like, he was getting set up because of all the time. You could have maybe got away with some of this in more kind of like new generation territory. But on this card where it's like tits, someone's getting set on fire, woman in a cage, to bring out Ricky and Robert. And Ricky, I cannot believe the age of these two men, and to hold on to a mullet for that long is absolutely disgusting. Like he literally looks disgusting. Like, there's nothing more I can say. Like, a mullet, as much as I love the 80s, a mullet is the worst hairstyle of all time. But people that like, this is 1998. This isn't even 1991 or 1994. This isn't just someone that like happen to not have heard of Nirvana. We're in 1998 now. Like, we're even past that, and you're still holding on to this. Like, they look horrid. And I think the commentary stuff, like, that's what really caught my attention. This is quite like what you talk about on What Culture, Michael, with AEW's problem with women. And the idea of, like, they put the women's match on and then they're like, you know, don't worry, men are coming. This match, like, Jerry Lawler is being told, tell everyone, don't worry, women are coming. It's the reverse this time. Like, don't worry, we're doing an evening gown match. Like, he's talking pretty dirty. He's saying, what color are Sable's panties? He's saying panties aren't the best thing, they're next to it. He's being very, very dirty on commentary, and it's all to just not talk about this match so that they can see as, like, not only embarrassing, but it just doesn't fit the time. And the only thing that surprised me was that the crowd aren't totally rejecting it and throwing beer and stuff, because
there's still that little bit of love for rock and roll, isn't there? That little bit of like, oh, all right, we'll go with them. There's like a muted rock and roll chant, isn't it? Even though it's like the dads at the back, isn't it? Like the kids, and people like us going, what is this shit? What's going on? But like, the last thing I want to say is just a random comment, because I was watching this today and my mum was in the room and even she noticed that. Did you notice that Jerry Lawler says Bee Gees really weird? Like, Jerry Lawler always has like the oddest music references, or he doesn't get like music genres, and he says to JR that JR must like the Eagles, because JR probably likes old rock music, and then he goes, I bet you like the Bee Gees too, but there's something about his pronunciation and his inflection where it's like he's never heard their name before, and I thought that was super odd. But anything not to talk about this match, you know. Go on, Michael.
I was going to say the combined age of Ricky and Robert here is about 8 years younger than the combined age of CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Just
people age so different today. All like, credit to all the old guy and the actual old guy wrestlers, not the ones in their 40s currently working, because none of them look as bad as these two guys who, I mean, are probably
hard life on the road,
but they're like in the age bracket that we would be in. Like, it's insane. I honestly hope if I went on a date with Ricky Morton that people would call the police because they think he was like cradle snatching, you know. I would hate for people to be like, oh, there's two people in the same like round about the same age bracket, going out together. I hope people will be like, that man's trying to kiss his granddaughter. It's just,
the whole jackass
it is so weird how people age then, and it's just mad. Jim Cornette is like 38 or something. I looked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wild.
Yeah, that's all it is to say, isn't it? Cornette hits Bart by accident, and Bob ends up getting a bulldog on Robert Gibson, and Bart gets the pin, and that's the match. Bulldog as well as a finish. And again, I can't get over the fucking Rockers music, Michael. Like, just I think that just feels like it's really sad. It is. It's just like we're not even giving you that respect. We had a team that had rock in the name. Go on, you can have their music too. All the while Sean's on his
he's only been gone a month, and he's sat watching the telly at home, probably incredibly depressed on all kinds of substances. And then he do you think he remember like when this is not funny, but it's it's kind of funny. Like when Jericho tells that story of Michaels turning up at that Raw, when they had Jericho dressed as Doink, and Michaels is so out of it that like he's just like he's slurring, he's not in a good way or whatever. And like he looks at Jericho in the gear and he's like, oh man, I can't believe they made you Doink. And Jericho's like, no man, it's a bit, I'm doing a bit. And Sean's just like, yeah, can't believe they made you Doink. Do you think like he's not in a great way at home, and he's turned on the pay-per-view and he's like, what the fuck? Marty's back. What the fuck? What? Like, I've only been gone a minute, and now they've brought the Rockers back. What? Like,
honestly, I think that's half of what the pop. I know they're in greens better, but like some of the pop, it might be people expecting Marty and Lee Cassidy to come running out here instead. But sadly,
it would have been better. It would have been funnier and better. This is
be more current.
Sad.
Even with that fucking that 70s gimmick they were doing, still more current. But what are you gonna do? But yeah, we go from there as it was talked about a lot through the commentary on this one to a backstage interview of Luna and Goldust. Luna vows to strip Sable in the evening gown match like a newborn, and she says Sable in a creepy Luna voice. But that's not the impression I'm after out of you today, Steffi. We'll get there.
But you we have to say this Luna promo.
She's great. She's perfect for the role.
It's fantastic because the way she's like, she does the whole like creepy voice, and then she does the Sable, then she's like, I'm gonna strip you like a newborn. It is so good. She was excellent here, like just excellent.
Great foil, we could say.
She was so talented. And they had at this particular period, like there is kind of it's a small variety, but like the variety of the women hires, like you got the blonde Sable, you've got Luna that's like really just freaky, and China that's the muscly one. It's just Luna was awesome. She was awesome for this role.
Definitely. Well, she comes out to Goldust. I like the little remix version of Goldust's music.
I love the music. I was dancing when she came out. I love it.
And we have obviously Sable coming out as the crowd are shown, and there's a guy with a free tongue. What's it say? Free tongue.
Free tongue bath. I wrote that down. Sable free tongue bath.
Jerry loves that one.
Claps eyes on it, and you think, oh god, like her seeing that, but right into the ring I go. Like,
which it's such a shame, innit? Because like to you, and I'm glad you're here for this one, Steph, because I would need Michael break this one down. But like, I think there's something like quite innocent about the Sable character. That like she's like, no, this Luna one's been driving me mad this entire time. This is my like she said to Mark Mero, this is my match. This is my chance. I don't care that it's this type of match. I don't care that it's an evening gown match. What would become a bra and panties match. I want a match to have Luna there, and I want to get me revenge. And this is as important to me as anything else. And she sells it with such a straight face that I think, despite all this around her, despite, Lawler and commentary, despite the silence of the crowd, I think that's actually what makes this work. Because, like, again, you can't really break it down from a move point of view as a match, because it is just them both trying to rip each other's clothes off. But, like, there is this, like, a justified, like, innocent babyface in there on top of all the smut. That is why this match exists. I don't know if I'm crazy for saying that, but there is something quite endearing about Sable here.
You see, I think you just pretended that you wanted me on because I'm such a big Undertaker fan and that I have all this emotional connection to it. But you guys just wanted to be able to talk about the evening gown match. And
in a safe place.
So, part of Sable is taking this seriously. And in the build-up to it, she basically says, like, why would I having this body, like, why would I care if I got my dress ripped off, basically. And that is like part of it. Luna may want to be doing this to like embarrass her, and Mark Merrow might think it's just really vulgar to get your dress ripped off. But Sable is like, I want to beat this bitch's ass, and if this is what she wants, I will come and do it.
Totally.
So she's so serious when she walks to the ring. So I need to ask you guys about the dress, because I always remember. So Luna is dressed in. For the Belfast listeners, she's in a fresh garbage dress, right? So that's a goth shop in Belfast. She's in a very goth dress, and she's got the vampire sleeves, and it really works with her character. I always remember Sable's outfit, because Sable comes out in what I can only describe as the most dowdy, mumsy dress like ever.
Glad you're here again. Yep.
No,
we couldn't have said that.
This always stuck in my head. I always thought, why is she wearing this? And obviously, Sable, something that she's known for, and she has spent a lot of money for on is her boobs, right? And she is in this dress that the outfit looks like something that you see in vintage shops in the 80s section. It's horrendous. Now, as an adult, I'm watching her come out in this awful dress that is just, she looks dumpy, right? And I'm like, I know why she's wearing this. Because it's a worked dress. Because she's not wearing a dress. And this is it. Because what she's actually wearing is a skirt and a top. And then if you look closely, you can see where the back of the top has been like clipped together. Like you could really see that. So it's a worked dress. It's to be able to do, like the reveal of and make it easier to rip off, because Luna takes the bottom half off kind of just in like one motion, and you get the shot of her in the thong. And she is wearing tights, lads. I don't know if guys realize that. They're always in the tights. But,
I only learned that through you. That and weaves. Yes. I learned about weaves and tights through you.
Yeah, her tights are pretty noticeable, but no one is going to or should go on TV without the tights on, right? So Luna can take off the skirt in one like motion. So I was actually like, that's quite good that they thought like, we're going to have to work this, to make it as good as possible, because in an evening gown match, you would think she would wear an evening dress, like something like she wore when she first brought Triple H out to the ring when we first saw Sable. But no, she's in this like terrible mumsy affair, which actually makes it a lot easier to take off, because Luna's dress is sexier than Sable's, like, let's be honest. And then she gets the top of it removed. and she's so angry. Like, this match was 2 minutes, and I have to say, considering the length of some modern matches, in 2 minutes they got so much into this. Like, we had them fight. We had Luna losing the sleeves. We had Sable with the bottom off reveal. And then, we have Mark Merrow coming out. He's such a dick, such a pig of the way he treats Sable. And then this causes Sable like to lose. And her anger and her screaming. What made me laugh about this is the video, the VT of Luna that I wanted us to talk about, with the way she does that gravelly voice where she's like, Sable, I will. Fuck, that is how Sable screams herself. Like, Sable does not have the most refined voice. So she just screams like she's just smoked a 20-pack at the end of it. And I think that's another thing that I have come to like about her, that I find endearing, that she's just herself doing this. She is literally thinking, how would Rena Mero react if someone did this to me? And like, that's how she does it. And then what an ending. We get the ladies under the ring, and then we get the emergence of Sable with this woman's underwear. And we now know that Luna is naked under the ring, and Goldust has to go in and save her.
Thank God he had that robe.
Yeah, it's quite an idea for the ending, but
yeah.
I have to say, like, I shouldn't have been watching this when I was watching it, and I think there's a lot of things that are really, really bad about watching the Attitude Era, and it's really bad being a girl watching it and you didn't know at the time, because they definitely present a certain style of womanhood as being the only style, and it is to be blonde like Sable and Sunny, and it is to have implants, which obviously you could do as your choice, but they really are like a prerequisite for wrestling, even to the point where like Luna has them, you know, and she's playing the Luna character, like it tells you something. So there's a lot of things that are really like damaging about watching it, but there's something I just find fascinating about the Sable character, because what makes her fascinating is that once she breaks from Mark Merrow, she is very singular. Like she does one match with Edge, tags with him, greatest night of Edge's career. I stand by that. That was his greatest night. She has fun with the oddities and stuff.
Yeah.
But, and then Mark Merrow gets with another woman. He gets with Jacqueline. And she fights Jacqueline just because Jacqueline is like provoking her. But she never, you know, like she never wants her man back or anything like that. Like she is Sable. Like she's just Sable. And I think that's really interesting. And if I've interviewed a lot of people, but she's honestly my dream interview. Like if she's watching, I won't ask you anything about Brock Rena. I just want to know about your initial run in WWF, because it's fascinating to me. And she's not a great like actress or athlete or anything. And but there's just something that works, like with her just terrible but great screaming, her quite bad line delivery sometimes, but it works. And the pop she gets, you guys have talked about it before, like the pop is absolutely massive, and I think that pop
crowd are into this massively.
It goes way beyond being a hot girl, because we'll talk about it during the next match, but when you're in an industry like pro wrestling, hot girls kind of end up being a dime a dozen, and they don't all get the reaction that Sable gets. Like there's something that just connects with her, and it's very cool. But this match is terribly offensive, and they never should have done it. However, it's certainly worth analyzing, and it's worth like but I'm not like that offended by it or anything. It's worth analyzing for what it was at the time.
That's really great analysis as well, because I wanted to say something similar about the layout, and then I was thinking about it. I was like, we haven't really encountered this yet, and it's obviously going to be something that's going to be extremely familiar now over the next, every show we cover. Like, I was wary of arriving at this bit of the Attitude Era as it's great to have you on for this one, Steph. Like, predominantly, two blokes in their 40s, again, peering through the jizz-soaked window of the Attitude Era, and trying to pick at what to analyze, to use your word there, to what exactly to analyze. And I was like, you can't, especially we can't in our position, as the pervy little boys that this was targeted at back then, you can't wave away what a lot of its intent was, right? I'll be generous with the percentages and say 95% of its intent was just to maybe that's not generous enough, to titillate the teenage boys, that's ultimately what this was. And women as objects, and just women's place in pro wrestling being minimized even further, even when they evidently offered enormous value. But all of that is to say, if I'm going to attempt to analyze this clinically, and you picked up on this straight away, they gave this the exact amount of runtime with the exact amount of measured agency. Like a producer sat down and worked on this, and they wanted like certain things to happen at certain times. They didn't put them out there too long. They didn't expose either of them. It didn't leave Luna vulnerable. It didn't sort of leave Sable exposed as being extremely limited or anything like that. It's such a weird thing to say about an evening gown match. There was an attempt in the agenting of this match to like, I can't even make eye contact with either of you as I'm saying this, like preserve the integrity of the characters. Does that am I making any sense at all? Like wrestling is such a weird industry like that, isn't it? Like they haven't just, you made a great point when you, like, I was thinking about it as you were saying it, about how like wrestlers that years later, like were sent out there once a week on Raw because a guest general manager had booked like an artless bikini contest. You know, it didn't matter. There was eight divas on Raw that were just asked to go out in bikinis, and sometimes it'd be around a match, sometimes it'd just be around being in the bikinis, what they were wearing. They have somehow, even when booking this, not lost sight of the idea that something resembling a match has got to happen, and what are the purposes of a match, and how do we get those purposes? Have I explained that? Have I talked around the fact that I was like 13 when this aired, and it was for dirty little teenage perds. Like, there's gonna be worse and more difficult ones to analyze that I don't think stand up remotely. Literally on like in Two in Your House's time, there's going to be one that doesn't stand up remotely to the analysis that this one does. Mm-hmm. But I almost mourn the but I pray for the sanctity of the evening gown match of 1998 Unforgiven. Because it's not going to be as credible as this for very long, is it? You know?
No.
But wrestling, has always had women, as objects, and always been about selling sex and all that. But there is a point, after this, and for way too long, like even into the 2000s, where they were doing just terrible stuff, like such as bikini contests, Playboy pillow fights, and all that kind of stuff that is just, it's like so just meaningless, like trash and exploitative. And with these two, they could have, they didn't have to have an evening gown match, but they at least give you a reason why they were doing it. It made sense for the characters, and there's something about it to me, even though this is two women trying to rip each other's clothes off, that is not as grubby as some of the stuff that came later.
Very true. Well, there you go. Couldn't have put it better. I'm very glad to have you for this one, Steph. Come
on, Benno, what did you think? You could say anything.
It used to be better, didn't it? We used to have classy evening gown matches rather than bra and panties, so we just said what was there. I just like that little extra layer of class there. But no, as you both said, there's nothing really to add there. Like, Sable is, this unstoppable like babyface here, and it is, as gross as you've both said, and as is obvious about this. But again, you've just got to listen to that crowd, haven't you? You've got to listen to I guess, maybe don't want to be too dismissive of what they fit into those 2 minutes, but like the agent that gets them to that point, that gets them to, like you said, Michael, protect both characters and, have Sable come out of this with a bit of integrity. And then also, on top of it, she's important, she's a star. So what are they going to do in the post-match? Well, she's going to get a heat back, she's going to, Luna's going to powerbomb herself, as we said earlier, but, she's going to get that powerbomb spot in, the Sable bomb spot in. She's going to do, as you said, Steph, the chasing Luna into the ring spot. And again, you're protecting a bit of integrity of Luna there as well by having the whole bit with gold dust in his ring jacket there as well. It's just exactly what the crowd wanted, for better or worse, delivered as well as it possibly could be, with a reaction as invested in it as anything we've seen for 3 matches now, talking about this show. So what can you say? Just
one more thing, like one more point actually, there were very few times after this that like these women are obviously like kind of exploited for that titillation, but there are very few times after this where like WWE especially actually earnestly delivers what they're promoting. Pretty much after this, they're promoting like, by the pay-per-view, tits, if you keep your fingers crossed, nipples. But like not here. They promote an evening gown match and they deliver it wholesale. Yeah. There's no, this isn't like, this isn't carny bullshit compared to the stuff to come, is it?
Yeah, or like saying that they're going to light someone on fire and then get them what we get in a couple of matches. But anyway, yeah. They get the integrity here, just maybe not there. But we'll get this stuff. We'll get there. But yeah, to say all that, it does end with JR and Lawler talking a lot about fast forwarding and rewinding and rewatching the tape, which unfortunately, like you said, Michael, the side effect is, people of our age, we're probably doing that too. Sorry, Steph. But yeah.
If you want to, Jerry Lawler, when you get to Fully Loaded, the scene with Jerry Lawler and Sable behind the screen. Just wait for that.
Yeah. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, I guess, not a bad segue, Vince McMahon, he comes out next year. Something, I don't know if it was my copy, but it skipped on mine. So them talking about, JR says something like, speaking of Edge, and I'm like, are they promoting over the Edge here? Is there something going on? I don't know whether I missed something. But yeah, if there's nothing in your copies, I guess maybe it was just a bit of a blip, but it does jump on my one to Vince coming out again, or Vince coming out for the first time here to tell us again that something catastrophic is going to be happening tonight. Puts over the fact that he was born here in North Carolina. He's a North Carolinian, I think is what he said. Denies the conspiracy against Austin. Won't dignify the idea he's going to screw him with a response, but he does say he won't be responsible for what happens in the main event if Stone Cold screws Stone Cold. See, get it? He said the thing. And also JR makes a weird final episode, the Seinfeld reference, like he's looking forward to that as much as he is this. Again, dating this entire thing, but yeah, more pull for the main event later, Michael.
He says Jim Ross mentions time-honored tradition as well, doesn't he? That was like the...
I didn't catch that. That's amazing.
That was like
They're just saying, like Bret Hart, like Bret Hart. It's going to happen again. Yeah, it is.
Again, like
it's not very subtle, but it's also a little bit subtle. I like it.
You've pointed out like the need to make this look a bit like, or feel a bit like Raw if you've bought a ticket. Like they would dial back on this, like the ringside promos and the people coming out midway through pay-per-views. I think they would realize fairly soon that no, pay-per-view people know what they're getting, but they've literally just beaten Nitro. They've just done it. So why would you not think, right, shit, everything's got to be like that? Like, we've just snapped an 83-week streak. I guess we're going to need to do it on the pay-per-views as well. Like, this is 2 weeks after they've won that ratings war. So you can kind of understand why they would want to structure the pay-per-view like a Raw.
And it works. It's exactly. You'd be disappointed if you went and you got like, it's like the WWE fan base now. Do you really want 30-minute collision style matches? You don't, do you? Does this fan base want that? No. What they want is what they're enjoying on Raw. It makes sense. But yeah, we get Sable on the superstar line, so they're hoping that people are going to follow up and call up and get a bit more of Sable. Always the old tricks that work.
In her dressing gown, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It'd be a video one these days, wouldn't it?
Can I just say the Vince thing? Like, I really remembered that for some reason, that this being the pay-per-view where he says that his mother had the honor of giving birth to him. And is this the first, TV, admittance of Vince McMahon's real life lore? Because his real life lore is being from North Carolina and being in a trailer park and then going and finding his dad, in Connecticut, rather than being brought up with his dad in the WWF. Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting that he's out.
Because JR says that's true. Like, he does chime in, doesn't he?
I just think it's interesting. He's now that he's shed being the commentator and everything, we've had the screw job, he's out there actually saying who he is, and then later on in either 98 or 99, around then he'll end up doing a big Playboy interview where he tells all about his life, and this just seems to be the first kind of little pull back of the curtain of actual Vince really ever. And he must have just had this thought that being in North Carolina, because maybe his mum still lived there, because his mum would have still been alive and everything.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting and oddly memorable, and I don't know why.
It's good heat as well, isn't it? For Mr. WWF to walk into NWA WCW country and be like, I'm one of you. Actually, I'm one of you guys.
I was there with you guys in the front rows. Absolutely. I believe that less. But yeah, that takes us into our next match, which is New Age Outlaws versus LOD 2000 for the WWF Tag Team titles with Sonny. We'll get into Sonny. I know you've got lots on that, Steph. I'll run through it quickly because it's not worth much as a match, but we do have fully formed New Age Outlaws intro here, but the OU didn't know. It's just Road Dogg. He brings out Billy, who's got a sex doll of somebody called Dean Smith. I don't know, whatever. And we get the LOD 2000 entrance, obviously, with Sonny here as well, in which they, again, follow up a Sable segment with a Sonny segment. And LOD also strangely just don't seem to want anything to do with Sonny. And I think she even tries to take off the shoulder pads for them or like just collect their stuff, and they won't even let her. Like, they're just like, stop stealing my heat, will you? You get out the way. Like, it's such a yin and yang to what we've seen without giving Mark Barrow is. But yes, this is probably our first in-canon look at this new LAD 2000s. Where's face paint? Where's gear? Animal and those bikers never really worked for me, and I think the matches are pretty much that too. You know, it's arm ringers and power stuff in the early stages. It's I do like a good heel chop block, and the New Age Outlaws get that out of the devastation device to work over Animal's knees. I mean, he's showing it off with the biker shorts, so I guess it makes sense to do that and highlight it. We get a Hawk somewhat hot tag, but he's getting about as much reaction, I think, as the Rock and Rolls were earlier on here. Misses the big Walter off the top rope splash, and then, similar to the other DX shenanigans, Billy uses the belt as a weapon, misses the second time, and then strangely, Michael, we get a callback here to In Your House Beware of Dog as we do the double German suplex finish, where inexplicably the referee counts that fucking idiot's Hawk shoulders down instead of Road Dogs, and the New Age Outlaws win. I mean, I was waiting for that moment to come, Michael, because you're always going to get it in these hour. The New Age Outlaws going to hoodwink these dinosaurs this time, and I think everyone looks stupid here, including the referee. But pretty rudimentary, but I guess they had to pay this off.
God, like, the LOD, man, are such geeks. And I don't even mean like the Legion of Doom losing yet again or falling afoul of the Outlaws scheming yet again. I mean, friggin' Joe and Mike, what a couple of geeks. Like, this idea that, like, we're not winning the belts again, are we? Right, well, this is what we're going to do for the finish. We have seen every single get out of jail finish by the...
It's true,
I'll say this, right, you can't... Like, the Outlaws have been... I love tracking how quickly the Outlaws figured it out and got over and, like, just made themselves this version of the Outlaws. But you can give the Legion of Doom precisely the sum total of fuck all credit, because they do everything to not put them over while putting them over. They are so fossilized by this point, they don't realize. Like, they think their old carny tricks are like, you know what? After this, people are going to still think we're hard and cool. It's like, no, we're not. Like... Do you not realize the way that the wind, it's not like the wind is blowing, the wind has already blown. And it's like, it's just covered used to in dust. Like, they genuinely think that with this finish, they'll be like, and then next time when we come back to this town, these Greensboro people are going to want to see us win the belts, just like back in 86. And they're fucking miles off the pace. Like, absolutely miles off. I like watching it because I like how Billy and Road Dogg have done it. I still get such a kick out of how they've done it. They look fantastic here. Billy Gunn's got like the cool short tights at this point. Like, Road Dogg's, like, he's always had a shit look, but at least he's on brand. Like, at least he's got his back. He's allowed to wear the DX stuff now. He's been dying to get this shit on, and now he can wear it. You know, that
doesn't have to wear a Cartman t-shirt. He can wear a DX t-shirt instead. Like, it's perfect. Last piece of the puzzle.
This is it. It's like, it's liquid Outlaws, this. They're exactly what 1998 needs as a tag team, for better and worse, you know, because, like, Road Dogg's not a good man, and there's always, like, problematic stuff peppered into the promos and that if he needs to rely on it. But, like, I don't know, I find them I find the Outlaws such a joy. Like, I really do. I'll be sad when we hit that point where it's because the Attitude Era, like, it moves too fast. Like, we always say this, it's pretty quick that they become the fossils themselves. Like, they're way closer to becoming the fossils than they can ever imagine as they're facing LOD now. But this moment right here, I love them. I think they're so watchable.
It's all about them. And LOD, like you say, even trying those old tricks, it just makes them look worse, doesn't it? It makes them look stupider. Like, it's like, I didn't know that my shoulders was down. You fucking idiot. Like, you know, I didn't realize the ref was there, like, last month. I was like, no, you're the fucking idiot here, mate. You're not getting screwed. Like, I think that's it. In trying to do that, the New Age Outlaws run laps on them. But, what did you make of this one, Steph? Does looking at LOD 2000 feel like looking at the Rock and Roll Express at this point for you? And obviously, Sable, Sonny on the outside there, she'd hate that. Doesn't really, unfortunately, add much as in theory it should.
Yeah, I have little to say about the match. Lots to say about Sunny, but little about the match. All I'll say about the match is like the finish. I didn't even understand it. I
makes no sense.
Back and it makes absolutely no sense that anyone would think that Road Dogg was the one pinning. Yeah, it's like
even the commentary afterwards is like, oh, like JR, it's like, they make calls like this in sports all the time. I guess this can just happen. No. It's like they're trying to over explain it to you to make you buy it. Yeah, it's crazy.
No. And LOD, oh my God, these guys look awful. And I was like, good for them. They got a pop. And I know that people do have that love for the Legion of Doom. I wouldn't have popped at all for this, but they do get a pop. But Animal, fucking hell, if you stick a pin in his stomach and just all the steroids in the world will fall out.
You'll leave some for her.
That man is 9 months pregnant with a load of steroids. And
Bikers was not a good choice to look for him. Like, no way. You probably saw it. Did he? I think every man's done. He's been in a hotel or something, and he's had like some like tight boxer shorts on and gone, oh, you know what? I look all right in this light, and maybe that could be my wrestling gear going forward. He's literally at that moment and not realised, no, mate. You've got the body shape for that.
Biker shorts. He's not Axl Rose. He cannot pull off wearing those shorts. It doesn't work. Yeah, so let's talk about Sonny instead.
Yeah.
He's awful, man. And I'll say all the stuff that you guys might feel uncomfortable saying. Firstly, as soon as I saw Sonny, I was like, right, we got to go to the text for this one. So I brought out A Star Shattered, The Rise and Fall of Tommy Lynn Stitch. And this book, this is by Riverdale Avenue Books. And it is so, badly published that at the back they call her the original WEE Diva instead of WWE Diva. So there's a misprint on the back. But this is, when did she write this? She wrote this in 2016, so about 10 years ago. So I was like, I need to find out about how she ended up with the LOD and what's going on here and how she recalls her time with Animal and Hawk. So what happens is we have Candido is off, and she's traveling around a lot with Steve Austin. Don't know if there's anything to that, but she is. And then she says, after a couple of months, the powers that be found a new tag team for me to manage, and when they told me who it was, all I could think of was, oh, what a rush. That's right. I was now going to be the manager of the one and only Legion of Doom. The Road Warriors, Animal, Hawk, and Hawk were one of the most well-known and popular, if not the most popular tag team in all of pro wrestling. She says that they've dominated every territory. They faced the best in the ring. She names the Steiner Brothers, Doom, the Rock and Roll Express, among others. They've beaten all of them. And
seen most of them tonight, including Doom.
She says that Hawk was the more technically skilled wrestler who was talented on the microphone. Animal was the powerhouse. He could press a 250-pound wrestler 10 times over his head with ease. And then she says that they are two of the nicest guys you could ever meet. I was thrilled to be their new manager. Who wouldn't be? So I went to the WWF seamstress, Julie, to design the perfect outfit. Julie was the creative talent behind all of Sean's fancy chaps with mirrors and chains and Brett's cool leather jackets. I knew she'd love to put her talents to work and come up with a female warrior's costume. So she gets her outfit. She feels like Xena Warrior Princess. When I went for the final fitting at midnight before I was to debut with the LOD, my eyes widened with surprise and delight. It was the coolest, sexiest, most skin-bearing outfit I had ever worn. And I think that's interesting because her outfit here, it's like the same outfit as she wears when she debuts with them. And when she came out, I thought, now, is she really wearing much more than Sable after Sable got stripped of her evening gown? No. But I do think, Sonny, once Sable gets in there, the competitiveness changes Sunny's presentation, and not for the best. So she goes on to talk about like the crowd erupt with a frenzy when she first appears with them. What they didn't expect is for Sunny to be walking down the aisle with the Legion of Doom. And she just says, like, it's such an honor. She says the theory putting me with them was to make fans look at them as a new tag team, not a couple of guys who had been round the block a few times. They thought I would bring youth and exuberance to the faction. And then basically she starts traveling with them, and she ends her chapter by saying that Mike is Animal, or is he Hawk?
Animal, yeah.
Hawk.
Animal. Yeah. Oh, no, Hawk. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
He's Joe, and
Yeah. So
Animal.
they don't really like to travel together. So she rides with Joe. And this is because Mike loves to party, he loves drink, and he loves drugs. So she says, she ends this chapter by saying that Mike dies from a heart attack like a couple of years later. And she says, R.I.P. to him. She immediately starts the next chapter, and this book isn't really in any particular order, by saying, since I mentioned the use of prescription drugs, I figured I'd stick this chapter in here, and then does a whole chapter just about drugs. So her lead into that.
Good times, great memories.
Yeah, it's her little like Legion of Doom bit. It's a bizarre, badly written book that is worth like the read for just what she comes out with.
I don't believe she's telling the truth there. I really don't. Like,
Yeah, I don't either.
You can feel like a frostiness, can't you? Like,
Yes.
in the entrance and everything. Even at post match where she's like running around with the belt, like you can tell whoever's better gets Hawk's belt. He's just a bit like, all right, I guess you can have that. Like, but they're not happy because they're 80s wrestlers who think everybody and anybody is trying to take their spot or take their heat. And
She's
like,
not
it
happy
just doesn't fit, does it?
at all. She's not happy at all in this time. And she later in the book, in like another like 2-3 chapters on, in what should be the next chapter, she talks about being happy for being released by WWE because her and Chris are going to do great things with Paul Heyman and in ECW. And I don't believe any of that. But
No.
Sunny has so much personality. Like she to me is just great. I think she's the best female talker they've ever had. I think she's the best at doing interviews and all, and being that personality that they've ever had. And anyone they've ever brought in since who's had more of like the technical training, I don't think has ever captured what Sunny had. And so I think she has way more attributes than Sable. She is a wrestling person, unlike Sable. She's, in my opinion, better looking than Sable. In like, let's say, she has more natural qualities that I think she is prettier than Sable.
That's how I feel. I'm just glad you said it.
Sable's very pretty too. Sable is it's really pretty, but I always thought like Sunny was more like, there's just something about
If we're just
her.
talking about the best chance of success, like it's relevant in it.
Yeah.
And she's 5 years younger than Sable too, which is a big thing when you're a woman. Even though she's been around, for a lot longer, she's still 5 years younger than Sable. And she did such great work with Cornette back in Smoky Mountain. Like, she has everything, and I used to feel really sorry for her in this period, because I did think, like, what would it be like if you know you're talented, you might be objectively, like have a bit of a better look, and you actually love wrestling, and this other like woman comes in and is getting everything. So I did feel sorry for her, but I think as time has gone on with Sunny, like, I feel less sympathy for her, because I really think that the problem is actually her, right? The problem is the stuff that she was doing backstage, the stuff that we know about. She has a lot of substance abuse issues. She gets herself in entanglements that aren't good backstage either, and I have sympathy do have sympathy with those, because it's hard being a woman in that environment. But when it comes to like some of her unprofessionalism with her substance abuse problems, they're always gonna pick someone like Sable, who who doesn't have any history with that at all, and who, like, you don't hear about Sable nowadays, which is why I'm so fascinated by her. Like, you'll see the odd photo of her and Brock, but she never, after she had her second one that I don't like at all, but she never like chased it. She was never like, I'll do every convention, I'll be doing whatever. Like, she's not in the Hall of Fame. She's just whatever, happy to have been Sable, when it couldn't be like that for Sunny, because Sunny's whole life was wrapped up in being in wrestling. She gave up having a medical career to do this, and with her relationship with Candido and everything, like, her whole life was wrapped up in this, and it is such a tragic story. Like, she is one of the biggest tragedies. She's like the biggest living tragedy of wrestling, because, you know, she's now in jail for the next 20 years or more. Yeah. And when you see her in this period, like this is the end of it for Sunny. She's not as popular as Sable. She's trying to do whatever she can to get attention. You know, like, she's coming out in this outfit where it's like thong with some strips around it, and it's just not enough.
She's a distant number 2, if not number 3, if you count Johnny. You know, she's way behind them.
She's in that situation where it's like, it's not, you know, like, if she was a girl trying to compete with Sable for the same guy, you would just have to say to her, like, oh honey, it's not that you're not as pretty, it's that he's connected with something with Sable, that whatever you do, it's just not going to work, is it? And that's what it feels like looking at her. So I feel sorry for her. She's out with these 2 old men who, like, oh my God, you just would not want to be hanging around with. And, you know, she's gone from, like, being a cheerleader with, like, kind of like stupid teams like the Body Donnas to, like, being this girl chucked in with these old men, and it's just not good. But yeah, it's really like, and they never give Sunny an actual storyline the way Sable gets, and Sunny never wrestled. And I don't know if she just decided she never would or whatever. She may have jumped at it. If she had been asked this year, I bet you she would have said 100% I'll wrestle, just not Sable. But Sable gets that storyline that Sunny never does, and she's really done for here, and it is sad.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, outside it, also LOD area, because in the post-match, of course, they remind you with the post-match attack, and obviously,
sorry, that was
Sonny gets physically there. Well, I just know we've got our time. Go on.
No, I think that's a fitting, like, sort of take on Sunny, right? Because we often do these, and I often feel like I shock Benno on the spot, and I'm about to do it again. That's it. That's it. Like Sean was last month. Yeah, this keeps happening.
Oh,
this is the brutality of the Attitude Era and how fast everything moves. Jesus. That's it. Like, we've covered all of Sunny's run. We're at the end. Like, I think that's a really fitting eulogy to the Sunny character you've just given us there, Steph, because, like, we've had, like, there are some massive ups before she can't get on top of the downs. Ultimately, before she is just constantly chasing losses, and it's crazy how they gave her nothing in 1997, and yet you couldn't not use her, even if it was just as a ring announcer or a referee or as a, like, there was no stories. There wasn't even really any clients. You know, Farouk was her last client before the Legion of Doom. That's insane, isn't it? You know, but that's like, we're done with Sunny. Like, I think, like, she might creep into one more Raw, if that, in the next Housekeeping, but that's it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, farewell to Sunny. I was even going to say that I probably, that would have been more fitting for her last appearance. But if it is her last appearance, then that was a wrap up to Sunny and my thoughts as an observer on Sunny.
You said what we can't, and that's what we appreciate. Hopefully it's like Ahmed Johnson and we see it every now and then, but I don't see it happening. Maybe Benno Hamflett in your backyard. I don't know where an ECW one would be. In your bingo hall. Maybe we go. And go through it. But yeah, I do need to move us on because we do need to talk about obviously
Sorry.
the next segment. Which no, you've got a lot to say on the greatest concert of all time. You told me this was before we recorded today. As we said on the pre-show, we did have the Sawyer Brown performance, the ACM award winning, whatever an ACM is. So congratulations to
American country
music.
Country music, yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Yeah. Congratulations to him / them, to all of them, 100%. And yeah, it makes sense. We're doing the reboot of the Jeff Jarrett character here. So yes, we have a dual concert with Jeff Jarrett, introduced by, of course, Tennessee Lee, who's now part of the Jeff Act. Just wild to see Jeff in this segment with Road Dogg having just came and gone, like in the previous segments, and like it's all I can think of while he's singing. It's like, well, it's not Road Dogg. I guess it's a pre-recorded Jeff, but yeah, it's all set up for a Steve Blackman angle of all things. This is where I think back to our earlier conversation. Like, is this where Ric Flair is circling the building, thinking it might be his moment to come and put Jeff Jarrett in a figure four? Instead, they have to settle for Steve Blackman, which in the end, he doesn't even get the one up on Jeff. He puts him in a figure four leg lock, and that's where we get the big "We Want Flair" chance. But yeah, this concert made a big impression on you as a young girl.
I just love it. Like, I always remember it. I remember this song, Some Girls Do. This song, which I found out today, was from 1992. Like, wrestling.
Jay, I was impressed by it too.
Wrestling will never be current. They can't even do a current Sawyer Brown song. It's like, here's our song from 1992. Not a single word of this is live. They've got Jeff in the studio. They've auto-tuned him. He's miming along. I find the lyrics to the song just really nice and funny because they're just saying, like, you know, some girls don't like boys like me. Some girls do. Best bit is when Jeff, near the end, he has this little, like, solo spoken part where he goes, like, in a very specific way, he goes, like boys like me? Some girls do. And it's just really funny.
Very Jeff.
And
and Sawyer himself does the strut too, you know?
Yes, but they are a band. He's called, like, Mark something. It's just it's very odd, but I honestly think that this was really good. I really do. And thinking of, like, what we have today, like, we have to suffer Jelly Roll, like, he's awful, and so many awful people, like MGK or whatever. I don't think music ever works in wrestling. Like, it's usually bad, the sound is usually bad, but the idea of just getting this country band to sing, like, to mime along with Jeff Jarrett is so
like, how
much
did he sell it to them? That's
like,
what I want to know. Like, what did he say? Like, we're going to do what? We're going to mime. Why? Because he's a baddie. What? And then it's to set up and beating up someone. What?
And then they end up with all their equipment trashed too. So maybe they were like, we'll buy you all new equipment if you do this. But I just find it, like, endearing. And Jeff's performance, although miming, he's so earnest. Everyone is doing this so earnestly. Like, this, I think, is
I was expecting more of a twist, definitely.
This is the best version of music being used within a show, or a wrestler singing / miming. Just having a wee concert. Yes, Steve Blackman came out and ruined it. One member of Sawyer Brown was very funny as he was, like, running away. But I really like this, and this I never forgot this. I always remember Sawyer Brown. Some girls do.
I've got to push back a little bit, Steph. I can only award this the second best concert in wrestling after Jeff Jarrett's first one in your house too. It's a 1-2 punch, but it's featuring the same man. He's brilliant at this. I care deeply about every single thing Jeff Jarrett does, right? And it bothered me then. And I thought, this is the exact time to do this research. If you listen to the music, they give him the whole gimmick back, the country music gimmick, which in itself is a massive problem because he's just buried it 6 months earlier, but he's back in the gimmick and all that. And he's not doing a bit, as you pointed out. All of this is earnest. It's not like he's, like, trying to fool somebody with a master plan of pretending to be the country music guy, or he's, like, hit his head on the post or something and he's having amnesia. He's just fucking country music singer Jeff Jarrett again, and we've got to be fine with this. It's really weird. But, like, if you listen to his music, do this after the podcast, right? And anybody listening, I implore you to do this. Search on YouTube, Jeff Jarrett 1998 country music theme, and then pull up in another window Jeff Jarrett 1995 country music theme, because they've redone his theme in like a minor key. It's like a sadder dying horse version of the original one. It's like they're even trying to tell you, yeah, you thought it was bad in 1995. He's dead. This loser is even a bigger loser in 1998. Like that's got to be some little detail backstage. You know, Jim Ross doesn't like him. He buries Jeff and Jerry in this intro. He's like, I wonder what his daddy's doing right now. My boy's gonna sing. Like Jim Ross does not like that Jeff Jarrett is back. He's never liked that Jeff's come back. And like he's probably the one in Steve's ear being like, don't ever give him the time of day, pal. Don't ever give this man the time of day. But Jeff, as usual, like just fights through it. Like once he's a force of nature, Jeff Jarrett. And I'm with you. Like I found this. I remembered this then. And like as a 13-year-old thinking like, Maybe country music's all right, and I enjoyed this. I watched.
Jim Ross does it.
Yeah, I watched this again with a smile on my face. I love Sawyer's dancing. I refuse to call him anything but Sawyer. I love his little dance moves, and like just the "We Want Flair" chant, and you've got Jeff going, "Well, bring him on, he's fine for Ric Flair to come out. He doesn't mind." I thought this was a blast. Loved it.
You gotta wonder if Jeff ever showed this to Taylor Swift, like when they were hanging out together.
Like I was a singer once.
Like Taylor,
are you trying that music stuff?
Sawyer Brown? Because I once played with him on pay-per-view. Love it.
I wonder if she ever did the song. Are they still around? I don't know. Maybe she did. Maybe that's the full circle moment that we needed. Brilliant. I didn't remember this, honestly, at all until both of you mentioned it to me in the run-up to this of something you were really looking forward to on the show, like just dropped out my memory. To be honest, I remembered the obvious previous appearance, but yeah, there you go. Little extra one for Jeff.
The little JJ in the set as well. Like they got in those big stuff. JJ lights. That's the real shit, you know.
Did you like the song, Benno? Are you adding it to your music library?
I will not. Maybe there's a hip hop remix I'd be into, mate, but I think I'd prefer to listen to MGK. I'm the guy.
That's mad.
Even just
all around the world. I mean, yeah, I'm spinning that 100 times a day at the moment. Like I must say.
There you go. Well, we go from that into, and the stage gets, it's good that we've got it because it becomes very useful for the next two matches. The Inferno match. And obviously we've been building to this, Undertaker and Kane. Obviously Lawler's excited because he's got the barbecue sausage ready to throw on the Barbie. He throws it. Was it marshmallows? I thought he had sausages.
He's got one little wiener and 2 marshmallows.
2 marshmallows. Because he does throw it. Oh, yeah, you sent me the screen grab of it, didn't you? And he says, how do you like your Undertaker? Rare. Yeah. He's funny, isn't he, when he has to be Lawler? I think as much as, he's Lawler, but,
I don't want to get myself cancelled, but I do think he's the best heel commentator of all time.
I think that goes without saying. It's like saying Vince is the best authority figure in it, like he is.
Lawler is a
He's also Vince.
I don't think wrestlers are funny. Like a straight lie that I do not think wrestlers are funny. I hate when people say certain wrestlers funny. I'm just like, no, they're just like they're not funny. But like Lawler is witty. He is a witty guy. And he's really good. He's a really good heel commentator, and no one has gotten close to how good he is now. When you hear them now, they just seem like such pretenders.
I'd have Heenan above him but that's just more an age thing, a nostalgia thing.
I would have no one modern above him. I don't think anyone can do this kind of act. I think honestly, another person I don't like, the person that gives it the best shot is like a Don Callis, but Lawler is like on another level.
I've loved Jerry Lawler in the innocence of the new generation. Like I find him so hard to listen to. Like the second, like we've tipped over into that scratch logo, like the kind of like the stabilizers are off with Jerry Lawler, and I can't oh man, like I think he stinks. Like not like as a commentator. I mean, literally, I think he probably stinks. I think there's like a real. I imagine there's a real foist to that jacket.
There's a musk.
Like when and I just it's the stuff around. Like the divas in particular, I cannot get away with it. I just think it's like
it's only gonna get worse.
And that's where I suppose Heenan never really had that to worry about because, like, he was probably a bit of an old pisshead pervert as well if he wanted to be, but there was less of a window for him to do it, you know. But Lawler in the new generation, when he is just a horrible bastard, like I agree. I think he's spot on. He's so sharp. I don't know, takes the lets the brakes off, doesn't he? When as soon as like he's allowed to in this era.
I wondered if this show how it would make me think of JR, because I don't like modern JR. Obviously, I don't like when he's on AEW and whatever. And I thought, this is someone that I'm gonna see kind of at their peak. And I've always been down on JR as a commentator. Like, I don't think he's the best ever or whatever. This show, I didn't change my mind. Like, there's something that I just kind of find annoying about him in the way he gets on, and like I don't know, he's earnest in a way that I almost think like isn't like trying too hard or something. I don't know. I just wanted to say that this show did not make me feel better about Jim Ross.
Oh well.
Sorry, that's total downer. Per Jim Ross.
Well, speaking of downers, let's talk about the match. Undertaker and Kane. It's an Inferno match. They're going to set each other on fire. They're the rules. I think I've missed anything there, Steph.
How is this not the main event?
Christ. Thank God there's a match after this. Tombstone chokeslams, man twiddling knobs. Vader turns up. Undertaker does a dive. There you go. Done. Sorted. That's the match. No, there's more to it than that, obviously. There's some big spots in this one. Undertaker diving over the top. The flames. The consistency of them compared to what we saw on the pre-show does become an issue in this one. But obviously, it's all to lead to the Undertaker chasing Paul Bearer. Again, that band stage, like I mentioned, coming in useful as he busts open Paul Bearer right down there. Comes back and ends up having a fight back with Kane. Knocks him backwards into the fires. And his poor little arm just gets on fire, just enough that he can run backstage and get put out. Does that sum it up, Steph? That's the match. And also flames are going up. Yeah. But also, obviously, a very important and historical match and one of the greatest memories of young Stephanie Chase's life.
It's the worst recap I've ever heard of such an important match. You missed out so many things.
Don't worry, I know you'll fill it in.
Okay, you didn't even talk about the Undertaker's entrance. So what are you doing? Like, you didn't.
Actually, sorry, Steph. Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
Because I've got a very important note on that. Why is it shit now? Like last year, like he'd added that thing where he would come out and he would go, and the lightning would go up and it would scare the opponents. Like, is he just, now that he's like pinned Kane at WrestleMania, is he mellowed or something? Because it's just all, like, it's lost all its, where's the fucking snap? Where's the dead man gone? Like, I was raging about that because, like, I loved his, like, 1997 lightning bolt shit.
Yeah.
And then it's just, he's mellowed. I need him to get his edge back.
Okay, we're missing the lightning bolt, but firstly, I gotta say, Kane's music was awesome. I was dancing to Kane's music is so good. But the Undertaker comes out, and I have like actual chills. And you get like great acting from Paul Bearer when he sees the Undertaker. But I just wrote, he looks amazing. He has the teardrop drawn on. He's got the wet hair. He looks so good. Now, before I saw The Undertaker, the first person I ever fancied in my whole life was Alan Rickman in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, as the Sheriff of Nottingham, right? I fancied him so much as a child. And I would have been like 6 or so when I was fancying him. That Undertaker's gear here, this is his best like gear, this era of the tight trousers and the baggy top. It totally gives me Alan Rickman and Robin Hood. Like that's the connection there that I think the gear is going for. It is very sexy gear. Very.
Can I just ask,
gear.
Steph? Mm-hmm. Like asking, sort of like, it's nice to be able to flip reverse this one. You've pointed out that the baggy top is separate from the trousers. Yeah. Is that a bit like Sable's gear being separate? So you're wanting it to get pulled away, like the top can go first and then the pants after.
For sure. And I always say another thing when it comes to the outfits on your Housekeeping. I think it was the last Housekeeping. you talked about the time when he comes out on Raw, and he's in like his street clothes, and you're like, oh, here's Undertaker like wearing the clothes like when he lost his gear or whatever. That is such a hot outfit. Like, you guys don't understand. He looks so good there, but he really is like, he's the hottest wrestler. Like, other than like Shawn Michaels is like extremely good looking, but like the Undertaker has this goth sexiness, right? This right here is why women become goths, why some women even become Satanists, why women can have an interest in the darkness, in vampire stuff or horror stuff or whatever. It's men like the Undertaker. And all I've talked about is just how good he looks, and that was, I don't know, 10 minutes, but just wow. So I also wrote, imagine being front row for this. Do you think you'd be really hot? And I don't just mean because you're looking at Mark Calloway, but because of the ring. Do you think it would be warm?
You'd be screaming, going, the announcers are just lying, like, because that's the thing. The announcers go, oh, it's like when someone uses like what's the stuff where they choke people with the liquid they put in, like the rag, ether rag, They say, oh, it smells so bad. Does it though? Yeah. Does it? I think it's the same thing.
I disagree, Benno, because you know how it is when you're close to like Kane's pyro or flame pyro at a wrestling show.
That's true, actually. I've had that with Booker T.
It's like a weird trick of the light, isn't it? Where you catch the heat like a few seconds later. Imagine the sustained heat.
Yeah.
I think it would be like, I was thinking of like JR. He's always got like the hat and the tight shirt on and that. He's sweating your bollocks off like that close to it. I think it'd start getting. Yeah. Oh God. Like, I mean, his bollocks have been sweating since the start of the night. He commentates in his wrestling gear, doesn't he? But like,
yeah, true.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be uncomfortable out there. I was thinking about that as well. Like Paul Bearer, I don't think he's having to work it much when he's like sort of like mopping his brow with his tie or whatever it was.
But the thing about this match is like, you guys, you were willing to listen to me talk about the evening gown match and why we were doing the evening gown match. So you gotta allow for this, because this Inferno match, the first ever Inferno match, this can only be for the Undertaker and Kane, right? And it leads.
So like, this is the men's equivalent of an evening gown match. I love it.
It is. But this,
it's just less worthy. That's the only difference.
Hashtag men's
worthy. It leads to some of the most iconic spots of all time. The Undertaker, in my opinion, greatest big man of all time. Completely best big man wrestler. No one has the agility of the Undertaker. He does an old school while the bottom of the ring is on fire. Like, who else would do that? It looks amazing. And then
bottom of the ring's not on fire though, is it? It's just a little like knob that a bet fella's turning. It's a Bunsen burner, isn't it? Really?
That could have easily gone wrong. And not only that, his beautiful long hair could have caught fire at any point. Like, there were points where he is so close to the flame with his hair that I'm like, save the hair, because that would have been awful. I remember, like, in later life, he does get hit with pyro.
That's it. Yeah, he got. Like, remember what happened after that? Like, he was out with Shawn Michaels the next night. It looked like he had mustard on his face, didn't it? Like that. Like he's had to endure that.
And I think so. The really great part is when he flies over the top rope after Vader comes out. Right, that is incredible. That is a visual, because here you have the Undertaker. Lord of Darkness, the head of the creatures of the night, and he's literally soaring over hell to get to his brother. And he said, like, I'll walk through the fires of hell to fight you, Kane. Well, he then soars over them. Vader, why the fuck is he out here? He looks like an absolute bum.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't he?
We've been saying it. Yeah.
He looks dreadful. Like, no wonder that he'll end up leaving soon after this, won't he? But he's just like in his like sweatpants, like with holes in them and whatever, coming out to do this spot. And I'm just like, go away. But it does help that the Undertaker gets to do this spot. They never ever should have shown the man controlling the flames. So
that's Paul Bearer's fault, isn't it? Because it's Paul Bearer who's over there.
He goes over to him. And Paul's usually way smarter than that. This is what I don't understand, because from the perspective of a child watching it, I thought that the flames were getting higher from impact. So I almost thought that it was like you know, if you ever played Crash Bandicoot, when he would like jump and there's the little flames that came up and the little moving, like, it doesn't matter. But when the Undertaker decides to fly over the rope, it's like he's putting himself in more danger because the impact of that would make the flames go higher. But they won't, because this lad's just controlling it. And and it really annoyed me to see them show that. But it's just mad.
I would say as well, it doesn't feel like it's like a, you know, William Moody, Paul Bearer mistake or anything like that, or bad instincts. It feels by design as like part of the story of the match. But it doesn't fit at all, you're right. Because the story we've been telling is that these flames are almost real and they're almost like, you know, like the Phantom. And it feels very like Vince Russo's got in the room and going, oh, you know what, we need a bit of reality. And the reality is that there's a man with a board and Paul Bearer should start trying to influence him. Like, it feels like from a different idea sheet to me.
Yeah, because the reality, okay, we saw it on the free-for-all that it's a science contraption. We don't need to see that the flames, because I would be willing to believe that Impact made the flames go higher. I'd be willing to believe that if you never said anything else. When they go and they fight,
and the Kane can control them in a little way, you know, like because there's flame, or he's not making the flame be there, but he can control how big it is, you know, by doing his little pose, that type of thing. Same with the Undertaker.
He's in league with the devil. But when Paul Bearer and the Undertaker then go and fight on Sawyer Brown's set, this is amazing, because he finally gets his hands on Paul Bearer and they just have this like dirty fight for Paul Bearer, because he's getting everything chucked at him, like fans are throwing beer and stuff. I read on Reddit a man threw a tennis ball, and he wrote about this on Reddit, that he just had a tennis ball and decided to chuck it at Paul Bearer onto Sawyer Brown's set during Unforgiven. Random. But he takes a drum over the head. And this leads to what is truly the best call of Jim Ross's career. It's just when he says Paul Bearer wearing a drum. I have remembered that for like 26 years. Just the way Jim Ross says that. I think that's his best call ever. And the blood that Paul Bearer gets is really quite horrific. Like, it's quite shocking how much
looks like bleeds. The skins actually cut him, doesn't it? Looks like the drum skins actually cut him.
It does. It really reminds me of, remember when that happened to Don Callis on a Dynamite? It was just a backstage thing, and he accidentally fell and ended up with like the worst blood you've ever seen.
Scar now, isn't he? He's still got a big like it looks like his, and it was like his evil power now, isn't it? Like that big scar down his head. Like.
And that was just so, you know, everything they try and create in wrestling, like Don just slipping and falling was like one of the most graphic bits of blood we've ever seen. Like Paul Bearer getting this drum, wow. The finish. So Kane's arm went on fire. Yes, his arm went on fire. We said that someone was going to go on fire, and his arm went on fire, so he is on fire. You can't put the whole man on fire, Benno. That would kill him. So
that's what they sold it as, though. I was promised that.
No, you weren't promised.
I was promised bras, I was promised panties, I was promised a man on fire.
Promised someone would go on fire, and he is on fire. Would you like to get on fire the way that Kane's on fire with your one long sleeve? You know?
Probably
no. But when The Undertaker wins, I don't know if you guys caught this, but we get this fantastic camera shot of him in front of the ring, and he goes kind of back, and he does like this lip licking thing where he's like, he's very hot there. This is one of the sexiest shots that's ever appeared on WWF television. The Undertaker.
Have I stumbled into a YouTube comment section here? Like, honestly.
He's licking his lips over the fact that he has burned his brother. And it's great. And then we get this amazing visual at the end of The Undertaker doing his Undertaker pose with the fire around the ring. Like, it is class. But if you've been following this whole story of The Undertaker and his brother and their dead parents, like, yes, it's convoluted. It might not be true, right? None of this might not be true. One of these guys might end up being the mayor of Knoxville or whatever. So it all might be, you know, not real. But to me, like, it's been so compelling. It's been so dark. Paul Bearer's been great throughout it. And we had to have this Inferno match because The Undertaker, like he loved his brother so much he wouldn't fight him, and then he fought him at WrestleMania, and where's next to go? Like, to bring him to actual hell, which is the ring surrounded by Bunsen burners. And I love it. I love this match. This match is better than anything I saw at SummerSlam or AW Redemption. Sorry to date the pod, but it truly is, because it tells a great story. And you will remember this more than anything you saw this weekend in present day wrestling. Come on.
I'm right in the middle of both of you, if I'm honest. Okay. I like this more than Benno's harsh and yet fair recap. I can't pretend I took as many notes about the Undertaker's micro expressions as you, Steph, but I get why you would. I thought that they, like, in as much as we've kind of all taken the piss a bit out of the little wires and the little contraptions that the flames come out of and the guy twiddling the knobs and all that, when they got this right, it was amazing. Like, there's a point where Jim Ross, there's a visual. It's the first time you see Undertaker and Kane stood in the ring together with the flames around them. And Jim Ross looks at it and just, I don't think this is a commentary call. I think he's actually staring at his monitor and he goes, this is amazing. And he's not wrong. Like, that is the brothers surrounded by the it is great to look at. And then obviously at first the guy with the knob on the twiddles is not really quite, his timing with the bumps is not that great. So it's like initially you're thinking, what are we actually doing here? And then the first time they start getting that right, they realize that some of the best shots you're going to get are from outside of the, like, not the hard camera, from the moving cameraman around the ring. So there's some of the shots here where, like, Undertaker and Kane are fighting, and in the foreground it's just a flame, and it doesn't matter how high the flame is because you've got it right in your face, and they're like just sort of behind it, and it's like you're peering through like some trees or like some hedgerows, but they're made of fire. And I can really appreciate that. Like, I think that's like, that's the fucking World Wrestling Federation. Like, nobody like makes wrestling like the Fed makes wrestling when it looks like that. And it, like, nobody, not fucking Tony Khan on his best day doesn't have the bollocks to even attempt something like this. And I like that, right? That is like, at my core, that's what I want from the fucking recognized symbol of excellence. And that's what I can appreciate, right? The dive is class. There is a steel chair shot in here that is absolutely repulsive, for how hard it is. And you can't, that's like, that reminds me of when the Undertaker would talk. He's given all the secrets away, like in his, before he realized that podcasts were too hard for him, and he couldn't manage the grind. He gave away a lot of the secret. He would talk about how when he was wrestling a shit ass, he would like take longer to walk to the ring because he wanted to give the fans a longer entrance. He would talk about how, like, he thought there was a time and a place for my dives. Like, sometimes a match needed one of my dives. I wasn't going to just do it every week. And then I think that about chair shots and weapon stuff as well. I think sometimes even he would admit, what if this is a bit of a turkey? I'm not going to know yet until I get backstage. But if I let Kane smash me in the head with that, I've given them that. And I can respect that out of the Undertaker a little bit, is that sometimes he knows that his stuff can be quite hokey. So he wants to ensure that people have had, like, that's attempting not to rip people off, and I can respect that. I have got at the very, very end of my notes, like, Undertaker poses in the ring, and it looks really cool around the flames, but what a complete load of shit that match was, and fuck me, we're back to total nonsense with this boring cunt. Now, I'm saying that to be transparent. I'm saying that to be transparent because I do think there is merit to this. But I think it's been really interesting to review this side by side with the evening gown match because I really don't think, if in the way that we've discussed them, I kind of don't think they're far apart. I think there has been an attempt to agent these things around the gimmicks and to give the people what they've paid for. And I think you're both right about Kane. Like, here's me sitting on the fence between the pair of you. I think Benno's right when running away doing what looks like a wacky wave looks ridiculous. But I also think you're right. A man went on fire.
A man did go on fire. Yes.
And you were given as advertised. It's like it just about gets away with itself, this one for me. But I couldn't in good conscience sit on a podcast and call it good. That's where I'm at with it, I think.
Okay. Is that a win, Steph? Will you take that?
Well, I will say, you guys have you've done every In Your House up until now, and you have all watched a load of wrestling, including 80s wrestling. You all know your history, everything. You're still watching. And you guys know that The Undertaker has always been this anomaly. Because people might hear me talk about The Undertaker and talk about this match and think, either think, wow, she must have liked all the Bray Wyatt stuff, or if they know me from before, been like, what a hypocrite, she gives so much shit to all that stuff. But you guys know that The Undertaker is that kind of exception, because I hate when things are goofy in wrestling now. I don't accept any of that. I don't like, I never like comedy in my wrestling. Comedy shouldn't happen in wrestling. Like, there's so many things that I don't like. I like just more serious storytelling. But the genius of Mark Calloway is taking this totally hokey gimmick that could have been like Papa Shango or anyone that we just like look back and go, what the hell at, and making it into a long-term character, and then, you know, eventually humanizing it. I don't mean through being a biker, but like that was a whole big blip that we'll not talk about it, but like humanizing it in other ways, to the point where he ends up, you know, getting this big retirement. He ends up being this WrestleMania attraction, all this stuff. So I feel like when you know, cover his stuff, like you have to, like, it's on its own little island. It's like the Undertaker verse, and in the Undertaker verse, things are a bit wacky. Things might be a bit magical. As I said, they're the only ones that could have done this match. Okay, you're lucky that it didn't go over so well that now there's a yearly pay-per-view called WWE Inferno match. Okay, so be thankful for that. But I thought it was a great chapter in the story. I thought it was a great chapter of the story. But tell me, sorry, last thing I'll say, honestly, do you think that this, having an Inferno match, is sillier than an exploding barbed wire match? Because I don't think so, because I get that you get cut up on barbed wire, but like the idea of having the explosions in it, they're all kind of like timed things too. And if you're AEW, at one time it doesn't work at all. And you don't give the people what you advertise. I don't see this. This is not as violent as the exploding barbed wire, but I see it as like its nicer, younger sister, maybe. I don't think there's that big a gap between them where I could say that one is acceptable, one isn't.
Like, you won't get any disagreement from me there, actually. I think barbed wire is the worst weapon in wrestling. I hate barbed wire. Like, you don't get any noise. You get so little. The closest you get to like the crunch of a table or the din of a chair is like when a camera zooms in on like Sabu being pierced. And like, do you really even want that? Like, I think, you know, when they will wrap weapons in barbed wire, like chairs now and stuff, I think it looks shit. You know that it's gimmicked anyway. Yeah. And if it's not, then the wrestlers are going to suffer. Like barbed wire, there's something that irritates me about barbed wire. I find it to be like an annoyance rather than something I look forward to the wrestlers hitting. Like explosions, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think that's a wild take, by the way. I can completely see where you're coming from. I would rather... Do you know what? I think I agree with you, because I would rather no matter how daft the gimmick is, I would rather be able to contextualize it around characters that make sense to have it. And it makes far more sense for The Undertaker and Kane to fight in fire than it does for John Moxley and Kenny Omega to fight around explosions. Far more sense. Like, I would always rather that. That's my WWE brain speaking there. But I'll swallow any old shit as long as you at least like half-assed attempt to make it make sense. And I think you get way more of that with WWE gimmicks than you would say, well, like the hardest of the hardcores that fight with explosion. Like Terry Funk likes bumping on C4 boards. That's there's less of a narrative reason for that than for surrounding these two with fire.
Yeah, there's definitely like death matches where fire has been used in similar ways, not even just as like individual spots. Like there's Anita matches where they've done that, where they've like surrounded. It's definitely where they got this from, you know, surrounded the ring by fire. It's tough though, because it's real fire, and then how do you fucking, you know, work a match in between it? Like, it's, you know, this is the other extreme end of it, where to make that work, it has to be the hokey version with, as you said, Steph, the Bunsen burners and the, you know, the WWE-ness of it all, which is where you lose me, and where it's too hokey and it's too fake. Because like, you hit on something before there, Steph. It's like, yeah, it's funny when we talk about The Undertaker in that, like, yes, we'll accept. this is the character where you'll accept this with. But I think the disappointment for us a little bit is that, you know, we all lived through that. Undertaker's gravest matches, the most boring VHS of all time, was one that one of my mates had in the early 90s. And that was pretty much the Undertaker to me. Slow plodding shit matches where he was dead. And then we had this 96, 97 run. It's like, oh my God, he can work. And oh my God, there's a bit of like real life personality coming out of it. And there's a, you know, not even real life, just like real feeling like coming out of it. And he's showing emotion. And, you know, Steph, I know you love it too, but like, you know, the early stuff when Paul Bear is teasing about Kane, it's all so human and so good. It's just disappointing to see it like, therefore, because the Kane character works in a way that like the bad Undertaker didn't, and Giant Gonzalez and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the only route is to slide back into more of that stuff instead of down the track that they were down. And obviously it gets worse when it's like, well, now I'm actually Satan himself, and we're going to get there next year when it comes to housekeeping and all of that stuff. And then you're right, I think it gets where it goes completely swings the other way when it comes to the American Badass, which makes no sense whatsoever based on all the law that we've got here too. But like, I almost wish like we just got on further down that 96, 97 track. But I think we're just... You're asking a lot of wrestling, aren't you? Like that, like high-level psychological stuff they were doing is interesting, but there's the low-hanging fruit of, well, he's got this evil brother, and now we can just spam magic powers and flames and, you know, all the stuff that they're doing in 1998.
Wrestling, the people, the creative minds behind wrestling, they can only do so much. They're not really the type. They're a bit like. Everyone's like a failed novelist or a failed movie writer. Like they couldn't just make the story stretch that far. They always have great little bits at the beginning, and like you said it, I think it's one of the Raws before Bad Blood where there's like a little flash of red for no reason, and then Kane appears. Like something like that is like so intricate for someone to think of that. And then, you know, by a couple of months, by the time you get to like more, I think it's like the SummerSlam era and like Summer, you know, Undertaker and Kane, they end up being friends, heels, used by Vince, all that stuff. And then, he does become a full-fledged Satanist at a later date. But I do think that this Inferno match is kind of, for me, like a closing chapter. It's still part of the great Undertaker-Kane storyline. Like I haven't given up on it yet, and I just love it as a spectacle. What can I say? I'm still a little girl in love with the Undertaker inside at the end of the day.
I need to get this out of you, Steph, before, like, you know, because we might not get the opportunity to ask you on the podcast, and I think the listeners will want to know. Seeing as you've like bared your soul here as like a sort of primitive Undertaker gooner, how did young Steph feel when the Undertaker embraced Satan and got rid of the mustache? Like, where was... I don't want to know now. I don't want to know, like, sort of hindsight, Steph. Like, where were you at with him getting rid of and having, like, the little... The shoot goatee? Yeah.
I thought when we get to the Ministry era, he's gone too heavy on the hair dye, actually. Black hair dye, hard. You have to get just right, and he ends up going too heavy in that era. I don't like the little beard. I think at that point he gets his tongue pierced too or something, and he's got the eyebrow piercing, and he goes kind of too far with the look. If we're solely talking about what he looks physically, he's way more attractive here. He's got his hair is good, his facial hair is good tattoo level, all that kind of thing. And then it's the Ministry where it starts to get like too much. I do like the Ministry stuff because that is what he made me a goth, yes, but I also have a fascination in like people like Anton LaVey and stuff like that he is drawing on to do that character. So that really, really does interest me and all that. And okay, it's problematic and it's really bad, but he abducts a girl called Stephanie and gets to say Stephanie stuff, and then he marries a girl called Stephanie. So
Stephanie.
Imagine watching that, with your eyes closed if your name is Stephanie, okay? Imagine how great that is.
You asked for it, Michael. You asked for it. I knew this was coming.
Yes.
How would I not thought about where to Stephanie? Oh my God.
Now, I said at the beginning about my love for Alan Rickman and Robin Hood. This reminds me of the ending scene of that movie where Alan Rickman is trying to marry Maid Marian and she doesn't want to marry him. And I'm watching this going, girl, why? Like when I was a kid, I was like, what are you doing? This really sexy, dark-haired goth man is trying to marry him? What are you doing? I felt the same when The Undertaker was trying to marry Stephanie in the Dark Wedding. I'm like, girl, marry him. Come, wait,
just go with it.
Considering what happens to her, she ends up getting, with Triple H and everything. Imagine if she'd married The Undertaker. My mind was blown when I found out Vince's daughter was called Stephanie, and there I was called Stephanie, and then she ended up with The Undertaker in that way. I really thought that they were playing to an audience of me. So yeah, this is his hottest point.
Excellent.
And he's not hot at all after this.
Yeah.
No, he loses it.
There we go.
Sorry about all that, Benno.
Well, we do have the main event to get into. I mean, I would say, the lesson we're supposed to learn from that Stephanie segment is that, Steve Austin is the hero. Surely that's the, nope, it's the Undertaker in Half Steffi's will. But he is the hero here. He is in the main event here with Dude Love. And of course, as I say, we've been building it up all night with the Vince McMahon interference tease. Dude comes out first for this one. And as a result, Steve, who comes out second, gets jumped by Dude, who gets the upper hand, and we end up with the Luther's Prez to get Steve back on top. Spills outside, get a bit of, it's very, prototypical Austin stuff here at this point. The line on the entranceway, they go to the bandstand too. Mick, of course, gets himself hip tossed off the bandstand into the concrete. At which point, Michael, I've got to say, I was going to stop there and say, Mick, as much as we've had to go on the housekeepings in the build to this, or at least I have, as far as Dude Love being the character for this spot when it's Steve Austin, new world champions, first defense. That might be true about Mick the character. Mick the wrestler, he's perfect for this Steve world champ style, isn't he? It's almost like this is the I said it was prototypical, but it's kind of not yet, is it? It becomes the prototypical style because of what, in a way, Steve is doing with Mick here and the brawling and the the bumps on the concrete and all of that stuff. It's actually looking at it now, post those housekeepings, he's the perfect first opponent.
He's fucking done it again, hasn't he, Mick Foley? He saves the Undertaker, he makes Triple H, and then he steps in when they've got literally nobody because they don't even realize yet that it's not about Vince finding a heel for Steve. It's that Vince is the heel. They don't even realize that. They're still thinking get Ric Flair out that limo. He'll do. We'll use Mick Foley this month, and then we'll find somebody next month. And Jim Ross is saying, "What about Dr. Death?" They genuinely think they need they think they need baddies, don't they?
Yeah.
But he's once again being I'm the guy you need, and he's showing it here. I've got to say, I know what you said about the Dude Love character. The little choices he's made. So the lighter blue tights and the beads and the fact he's put the blonde in his hair. Yes. He's thought about I need to look like a wanker version of myself. If you thought Dude Love was annoying as a baby face, wait till you see him as a heel. So he stepped in. I think he stepped into it very effectively. But then, as you say, when the bell rings, it's Mick Foley getting knocked about.
He's Cactus Jack, in a lot of ways. But it's funny though because he's still kept as well some of the lame elements of it, like the catchphrase stuff, the ow stuff. He's still doing that. He's still doing the fucking knee dance, isn't he? But he knows that's annoying enough that it kind of works as a heel. It's simultaneous that lowers the tone and makes it not a main event act. But also kind of somehow he makes it all blend together and work, doesn't he? In the presentation.
Because I like how Austin touched on this in the build. These were mates. This was one of the only
genuinely
guys
memorable love story.
Let the guard down for. So there's a bit of something to that, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, obviously, that's pretty much like the bulk of the match until Vince comes to ringside, which is the smoking gun here with Patterson and Briscoe. JR notes he's very disappointed in, and that's where you get the spot with Vince running away from Steve to allow Mick to take him out in the aisle. We get a tease of the Montreal Screwjob that might well happen here with Foley getting him in the abdominal stretch and Vince acting like he wants the bell to be rang, and the commentary pick it up onto that. But it's still, like to your point, Michael, it's still very sinister. We do the suplex onto the steps because Mick fucking hates his knees. He's doing everything to get, again, this violence brawl around everywhere, Steve Austin character over, while at the same time we're telling this same story about a potential screw job coming. And speaking of which, it all boils down to obviously Mike Joe that gets knocked down. Foley gets the claw on, and Vince does try and get involved and wake up the referee. It leads to Vince trying to hold up Foley on the outside and get him going again after Austin stunned him. And Austin, of course, wasn't aiming for Vince whatsoever. He was aiming for Dude Love. Cracks him in the head there with a relatively protected to the side kind of chair shot, but still a fucking strong one for Vince to take. Obviously creates the story of was he aiming for Mick or not. And yeah, he's Steve Austin, so he makes up the rules as he goes. He hits a Stone Cold Stunner on Dude Love and then counts the pin himself. JR's very much on a commentary here, selling the story of Vince McMahon being hit by Steve Austin as the big one here. And obviously we had the Gerald Briscoe recount of the finish after this as well. But yeah, Steph, what did you make of this one? Main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin, 1998. Stone Cold Steve Austin, is it for you, this one? And what do you think of Foley as a dance partner?
So this whole something catastrophic's going to happen. So is that just that Vince is going to attempt to screw Steve?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeaton's going to ring the bell. I guess that's the catastrophe.
I love this. So Vince's catastrophic event is that I'm going to screw Steve Austin. Yeah. But this becomes the pattern of Vince versus Austin, right? So like Vince, or this goes right back to telling him wear the suit, Steve, and then he won't wear the suit, and well, I'll screw you this week this way, and I can't do it. Steve says, well, I'll make the catastrophe for myself, you cunt, and smashes him in the head with a chair. And that's their pattern of like Vince thinking, I'm going to do this, and then Austin just does it first, or like flips, like he subverts it, and that's their back and forth every week. And this is like they're cheating because they're selling a pay-per-view off the back of something bigger. But like it's like Jim Ross calls it, that's a pretty catastrophic occurrence. What's just happened? Yeah. It's like we've done it, but it's their rhythm for Austin to like if you think about when you were saying about the Undertaker and Kane, like. They like do the double pin, don't they, on Steve to get the belt off him, and then Steve's just like, well, I'll hold you hostage at gunpoint then. Like, you think you're getting the better over me? I'll do that to you. That's always there. It has to be just when Vince thinks he's got it. I can't believe I'm going to use this. Just when Vince thinks he's got all the answers, Steve Austin changes the questions. That's Roddy Piper said it. Steve Austin did it. That would be how they would. That's kind of how they would dance. That was my take on it anyway.
I wonder.
So he's my Terry Funk.
I mine as well. Sorry,
I just wondered if they said that because they weren't sure what was going to happen, and I mean with like the Flair rumors and everything. I just wondered that. I thought the match was fine. Is there anyone that you guys would have picked other than Foley to be his opponent here?
It's tough, innit? It's almost like the criticism is less aimed at them making a bad choice and more that just not being anything is kind of it. Like unless you do, because they have to lean on Kane and Undertaker later in the year, don't they? Which I know you're a fan of. And again, we always say, don't we? Like in an alternate universe, it'd be Brian Pillman, wouldn't it? He'd be set up and perfect and ready, and there, or I guess there's other alternate universes where it could be Brett or Sean. But I think it's just the reality of it, isn't it? That they have to go, oh, fuck, what Foley character can we put in this slot? I guess we'll make a heel Dude Love. It's not that Foley's not worthy of it. And he proves that, obviously, as Mankind when he becomes the world champion and the Cactus Jack run in 2000. It's just, very clearly a microwave reheating of somebody to just have someone for Austin to face here, considering what
he's beating Hunter on the house shows
2 months ago.
Like he's fighting Hunter on the house shows, but you can't put that on pay-per-view because like DX are on the crest of becoming enormous baby faces.
Yeah.
So you almost don't want people to look at that at this point. You want Triple H to be a cool guy.
I was going to say that it's a really lucky escape for Triple H to not be.
He probably got a Jeff Jarrett. Be Jeff Jarrett, wouldn't he, or Billy Gunn?
Yeah.
He'd be like one of them guys.
He absolutely would, and things would have been like really different, especially because the crux of the story is actually Vince McMahon is the heel. So Triple H taking the spot would have been bad for him. Mick Foley, like. I never have anything good to say about Mick Foley anymore. He's maybe like the sacred cow that I slay all the time.
We've all got ones, don't worry.
I know. But however, it was actually nice to watch the Mick Foley that I liked. I think this only doesn't work if you don't know who Dude Love is. Because if you know that Dude Love is Mick Foley, then it works. Foley is not he's not, he's kind of like CM Punk, right? They're both not naturally gifted wrestlers, naturally gifted athletes, but they have something that makes them really good at everything. And Foley is so versatile. That's why he's able to help Triple H, help The Undertaker, and help Vince, or it's not Vince, Steve here. And the Dude Love, the character's lame, but I think it totally works in the context of the story that this weird guy that has all these different personas, because he's like the only guy that talks about having personas. Like Foley has a persona, but The Undertaker he's The Undertaker. It's not a persona, but Mankind has like 3 different faces. Anyway, I just thought it worked, and it wasn't a very exciting match or whatever. I thought they lingered way too long at Vince at the end. Like, I thought, is this the most
like 10 minutes of the dead air, wasn't it?
Chair shot ever. Yeah, it actually shows you what that was like back then, because he gets hit by the chair once, and they're like, "Oh my God, is he gonna be okay? This man has kids." Like this is bad.
It's catastrophic, right?
Yeah.
It's a catastrophe.
It's catastrophic.
That's,
and they get to the point where, they get to the point where like Vince will take loads of chair shots, and people do all sorts of shit now. But at this point, you couldn't end a pay-per-view this today with someone with like Adam Pearce getting hit by a chair, really, and like everyone going, oh my God, this guy might be dead. But yeah, it was totally fine. I still think the Inferno match should have gone on last, but it can't go on last because this is Austin's first title defense. I think ending on Kane's arm on fire would be better than dead Vince. But yeah, but I really enjoyed watching it, and I enjoyed seeing Foley.
I think the Vince point for me, Michael, as well, is like, we're just not there yet where like this would just be something that would happen on Raw and be throwaway. Like, there is a part of me that likes that they're selling it, that it's like, no, he's gone too far this time. You get the boss with the steel chair. It's working less for me, for all the reasons Steph just said, that like, I mean, really, is it that bad considering what we've seen on Raw? It is a step further, but is it that bad? Have they maybe not realised yet that they've passed that point where you can maybe oversell these things? So it's kind of on eggshells there with me a little bit. But I think I do at least appreciate that they're like, no, this is significant. This is important. And this is something we're going to pay off on Raw. To the point where even the reversal of the finish, well, it's not even a reversal, but, the announcement that it's a DQ instead of, Austin just being allowed to count his own pins now because he's allowed to do everything else. Like, I would have expected that to be held off for Raw, but I feel like, the other stuff maybe they're seeing as more of a holdover, something you can hold for that as a payoff that you can do on Monday.
Yeah, it's tricky to say too much about this match without saying too much about the sequel.
Yeah.
But we didn't have that problem when it was Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at Ground Zero, when talking about Hell in a Cell. I think that was a more entertaining match. I think that had a bit more flavour to it than a lot of this. But I actually, it's really weird with Austin, isn't it? It's like they don't... he knows obviously that he's extremely limited, and the entire style changes around him, and he's brilliant at this style. We've had this one before. You kind of like the people that criticize Steve Austin's work because it's got less moves in it. from when he was a mechanic don't get it, do they? They're not watching how the man is always moving, the man is always creating energy. It's not just your standard crowd brawl. It's fucking electric. The fans eat it up. Like, they go back into the crowd twice and they eat it up. This is not wasted energy. None of it is. But I do think the lingering on the Vince side of things and the finish and all of it kind of reminds you that this is like, it isn't an angle dressed as a match, but it almost is. You know, it's almost like the angle is almost prioritized here. They don't want you to know that this Dude Love thing's kind of only just getting started. But the longer this match goes on, the more you realize this Dude Loves thing's only just getting started. Yeah. Like it kind of reveals itself the more it goes on, and it tries to they're trying to have the cake and eat it too. And I think that's the case a lot with Steve Austin, because you normally can, because he's just so massive. He's just such a bigger star than anyone could have imagined. They've got their Hogan, right? And you could get away with Hogan's shit as well, couldn't you? They've got him. And I just think that's like, this is the first look at it. It kind of sums up, like, I don't like jump to the summary of the whole pay-per-view, but like when like Twitter used to brand itself as the everything app, like this is kind of like Attitude, the everything pay-per-view. You know, there's a lot of stuff that isn't very good, but like we keep going back to it, right? The list of 3, it's got Steve Austin's first title defense, and it's also got tits and people going on fire. Like, it's like the Attitude Era is here. Have a look at all of it. By the way, like, this is not just like, it's not just eat your dinner and then you've got nothing left, because we're pretty sure The Rock and Triple H are going to make good dessert. Like, don't just get full on your main course, but it's like none of it knows quite where it fits. So just have the lot, just have all of it, for better and worse. I wouldn't call this one of the best pay-per-views we've reviewed, but like, No Way Out was a fucking nightmare, and at least like they've kind of already moved forward on that. There's something very unapologetic in what they deliver as a 3-hour show here. Yeah. It's like WWF knows what it is, even if all the component parts aren't quite yet right.
Yeah, they know that they're using matches now to build angles, mate. It's not an angle that like hard as a match. It's literally a match to build an angle.
Benno, and about time too.
Like, the proper way around. And to be fair, you know, I do actually have some agreement there, as I do know our Matthew does. But like, if we're talking overall thoughts, like this whole show, like, it is so different from No Way Out, which, you know, again was felt like it was 2 years ago type show. It didn't feel like WrestleMania was coming, like the Austin boom was coming, like it was dreadful, like pretty much from start to finish, outside of maybe elements of the main event. This is the first one we've done with it. It's like, oh, we're almost there at a fully formed, like, peak WWF. Like, because, like you say, we've been watching Rock put it in place, we've been watching Triple H put it in place, you know, Kane and The Undertaker for everything I'd say about the match, are important parts of the cog, and they're getting in place. You know, Foley's not in the ideal position for me as Dude Love, but he's also in place now as a more serious thing that you take seriously. Vince is fully the character now, and Austin is on top. And, like, you've got all of that in spades, as well as Sable, as well as, you know, to an extent, Sonny, you know, as well as China, you know, a very important part of this as well. Like, it felt like a star-laden variety show in so many ways. It felt like, you know, that, like I say, this cast of characters that are going to carry this thing and carry this boom, all equally and well represented on the show, even if I didn't love everything. And that has not been true of, like, the last few shows we've seen. If anything, the Raws have been so much better than the shows. And I was going to say to you, Steph, like, I think you know, you said, you know, this is one of your favorite tapes, isn't it? It's one of your favorite ones. And I think that's, you know, what appeals, you know, don't want to put words in your mouth, so much to you too.
Yeah, this is a 5-star show, because the variety thing is so true. And I think the reason why I watched it so much, and that I remember this, you know, so well watching it back. I remember, like, exact moments, words on commentary, promos, all of it. I think for everything I liked, this has it all in it. So obviously you have the Undertaker Kane stuff, which I'm gonna love, but it's also the pay-per-view where China, in, like, what I think is kind of her best era, best, like, form, is suspended in the cage, and she, you know, does the bars. And you even have the New Age Outlaws being the New Age Outlaws. You have The Rock doing the Nation stuff.
Totally.
You have the evening gown match, which is something that is part of the Attitude Era as we go forward. And you even have some old men, if that's what you're into. Wasn't what I was into, but I did kind of, that is so typical of this precise moment in time, that the old men are also part of the variety, that you get this, like whatever. And so that's what makes a great show to me. And I was watching this on the VHS, where I would have watched it as a kid in my grandparents' house. And I was thinking, wow, the world is so different now. It's kind of sad that everything's on Netflix and you can have anything and you don't have to just sit and watch the same WWF Silvervision tapes, over and over again. But the shows nowadays, I think, you can have 5-star shows from both companies, but I don't think they have the same rewatchability, to be honest, because they're kind of all too long and boring.
Yeah. I mean, I think companies are aiming for those 5-star shows, for those perfect shows, but and I understand that, but I also think when it's something like this and you want to go, we said it, Michael, when we, not to turn it into a cheap plug, but we'll be getting into plugs in a minute, but when we did Bash at the Beach 98 on Grapple, and it was you and Matty didn't love that show. I couldn't really defend a lot of that show, but because it was just to me, just a window into what 1998 WCW was, almost didn't matter what was good and bad on the show. It was no, the Wolfpack are here, all the Cruiserweights are here, Goldberg's over here, Raven's over here, Jericho's over, all of the, the people I want to see when I want that blast of 1998 WCW nostalgia, I got on that show. Star ratings be damned, he says, as the lead podcaster on the star rating app. But that's also true of this show. If you want a shot to the veins of what 1998 WWF is, there are going to be other ones later in the year that might be better, and maybe other ones that maybe might even be better examples of it. But this is a fucking A-star example of what 1998 WWF is, and that's kind of what you want, isn't it? When you just dive in for just a hit of what it felt like. This show is what 1998 felt like. It's like a time capsule. And there's no Quebec.
You've
so I'll take that too,
Thank God. You've used sort of your own separate examples there, but what you have both described is kind of at the root of probably the first message I sent you, Benno, about what should we do our podcast on? Because we probably felt like we had to defend those early 1995 in your houses with our chest puffed out, because there would have been a lot of stuff that people would have ripped to pieces, but you wanted a reflection of the era. And I've really enjoyed the jagged edges of 1996 and 1997. And I think that's where, that's our shared love of 1997 in particular, of why is everyone at school back into wrestling? Why weren't they into it in the trenches? But you see a show like this and you realise why all of a sudden everybody's turned back up. You do.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody, can be taken to its literal end, can't it? There is something for everybody, not just something for us. And I didn't feel the need to, because Steph did such a brilliant job of burying him myself. But Vader turned up, and it was honestly I felt like I was frigging I don't know, Tia and Tamara and sister, go home, Vader.
Go home,
Roger. There's no place for the shit anymore, is there? They've found the everything presentation, and you're getting it, and there's something very satisfying about that.
Yeah, I think. Firstly, apologize. I'm going to apologize for being such a gooner on the show, obviously, but I genuinely love the Undertaker, right? And part of that was what he looked like. But I think you've got to please, someone please send this to Michelle McCool and see what she thinks. I have interviewed Michelle McCool. I think I might be one of the few people that ended up interviewing the wife of the man that turned her into a god. But what I was going to say is, what you were saying with Friday, at the start of the podcast, I got out my VHS cover. I talked about how it's the sexiest VHS ever. It still is. But at the same time, if you think of me that has just hopped on this train of the Attitude Era at SummerSlam 98, and I read the back of this and I'm like, oh my god, there's an Inferno match with Undertaker and Kane, and China's gonna be in a cage, and you know, you've got the Rock and the Nation, and even like Sable being on it. I'm like, whoa, this is like all my favorite things. Or what, like it seems like such a good show just reading that, and like it's these are not the best wrestling matches you will ever see, of course they're not, but this is a great like 5-star show. Like I totally agree that you cannot get random people that don't like wrestling into wrestling, so I would never say this is a show I'd show non-fans, because I wouldn't show non-fans any show. This is the show I would crack out if I was with my mates that liked wrestling and say like, let's just have some crack and watch a fun show from the past.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, they might be Attitude Era, mate, too, like you say, might not have necessarily seen like parts of this, or might not have, you know, they might be used to Babyface DX, we're on the cusp of that. They might be used to, you know, Foley as Mankind, but it's just early enough that it's a little bit different too, isn't it? Like that's another part of the charm here too. No, it's been great to chat about, and yeah, we couldn't have done it without you, Steph. It had to be this had to be the Stephanie Chase version of Benno and Hamflett, and yeah, we had to do it justice there with the Undertaker lore. And yeah, I think of Unforgiven, and I think of you, and yeah, you did us proud here today.
I think I went too deep on things. I think I went too deep on all of it. But
no regrets.
I'm really glad that you two invited me on to talk about a show that I'm passionate about. Like Benno knows that
it's this and SummerSlam 98, isn't it?
Yeah, it's this and SummerSlam 98. But as soon as you guys were starting the podcast, I was like, I have to do Unforgiven 98, and you were so far. I can't believe this has actually happened, because you guys were so far away from that show when we first talked about it. And I was always like, if you're ever having guests on, no one is allowed to talk about the Inferno match other than me. Like, it has to be me.
And Matty did try. He did actually try. But we've got
Matty didn't realize that I'd gotten in like right on day one with the Inferno match. There's no way.
I can think of 2 reasons why Matty might have to settle for Fully Loaded.
Very true. But no, it's been amazing having you on, Steph. Do you want to plug anything? Do you want to throw anything else? We might not know where to find you.
So I don't cover like modern wrestling anymore. But I do a podcast on PW Torch every week. It's me and Josh, and it's called Worse or Better, and we kind of just compare things from the past. So our most recent episode, we looked into AEW's pay-per-view model and how it's changed, like so going from 4 a year to what we're on now. We do it about AEW, WWE, like we've done like past SummerSlams. We've done women worse or better, like how women are presented in wrestling in the past to now, where there was a lot of Attitude Era Sable talk, and then we did a follow-up episode which is all about Tony Khan and women. But yeah, it's a fun show if you want to check it out on the Torch VIP, and there are so many sidebars and digressions by me. It's like actually more that than the other stuff, where I just tell stories that about wrestling that I've never felt comfortable telling before. So there's like about the time that me and Benno were sat in a hotel room with Big Show and Tony Storm, like for no reason. Like I go fully into how that happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I do there, and I do put all my non-wrestling stuff on a website, which is stephaniechase.ie. Yeah, so that's me.
Great stuff. Yeah, great to obviously get those links out there, and everyone should recommend the Torch. I love the Torch in general, yes, but yeah, it's amazing. I love that I can look at the feed and then you'll pop up on there in between, Todd and Wade and all the other good stuff on there too. But no, amazing. People should definitely check that out. I'll throw mine out quickly. I'll let you take us out of it if you want, Michael. But yeah, for me, Grapple, WCW Bash at the Beach 98 we did last month, Michael. Definitely still worthwhile listening if you want like a companion piece, because very close to the date of this show is when Bash at the Beach 98
mm-hmm.
that's a perfect one to recommend. But yeah, as I've been saying on these last few shows over on Grapple, we've been adding the Grapple Weekender is now our free show. We are free every Friday now, so you can get that no matter what. But you can become a Patreon and get our spotlight reviews, aka our pay-per-view reviews. We've done the flip-flop. It's all explained over on the Patreon. But yeah, hopefully worthwhile for everyone there. But yeah, we've had a busy old month this month. Great episodes of time out there as well. We've got a Grapple quiz coming up. The Raw Roulette episodes. Going back to the days of 45-minute 1995 Monday Night Raws, Michael, remember them days? Yes, we recovered that as well. So that all sounds like stuff you might be into. Patreon.com/grapple or YouTube.com/grapple.
Well, yeah, I mean, mostly it's the same sort of thing for me. The What Culture Wrestling podcast, daily wrestling podcast, reviewing Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW Dynamite, the pay-per-views, premium live events, and all of that. But just to date this one slightly, depending on when you're listening to this, there might still be tickets available, so I should plug it just in case, for What Culture Wrestling live at the Crystal Club. If you're going to All In and you've got, if you've got any cash left after you spent your $150 on the ticket for the show, get yourself along to the What Culture Wrestling live show. Even if you don't like us lot, and speaking of actually that, to be fair, I won't even be there, but if you don't like the rest of the stuff we normally do, it's still the best place to get a pint before All In because it is literally right across the road. All the other bars will be busy, but just get tickets to the live show. Like we always do a good show anyway. You'll get the entrances, you'll get a live podcast, you'll get Simon Miller doing a why. We try and chuck in as much as we possibly can for the price of the ticket. And as I say, like I'm not exaggerating. You could be that fan at Unforgiven throwing a tennis ball, and if you threw it from the Crystal Club, you would hit Wembley Stadium. That's how close it is. So if this is something that you're listening to before that show, get yourself along, see the guys do their What Culture Wrestling live show. It's the best. They're the best things we do, honestly, as well. Working constantly in the digital space and dealing with comment sections, you forget that in actuality, people are just nice, and it just always ends up being like a really
that fun the hosts,
and brilliant.
I.e. me. Yeah, you can actually find that out.
That's it. Like it always just ends up being like a really nice time, and it's great to do it on the day of shows because it's the perfect sort of pre-show pint as well. So yeah, if you listen to this before All in Wembley, get yourself along to that.
I was there 2 years ago, obviously. Went along to watch you, Michael. Had a great time, and obviously the lads will do you proud this year, I'm sure too. And I can say for certain, it's like a 3-minute walk from the venue because I left it and walked straight into Wembley. Yeah. So nice. Best place to be if you're not already. but obviously, check out. I'm sure you'll be on all the All In coverage post the show as well. I look forward to that, and obviously check out our Grapple coverage as well of all that too. Great.
Well, and I guess with that, until next time, thanks for the gooning.
Good night, all.